Chapter 4399. However, when Lin Xian's clone saw this scene, he remained unmoved. When the saber descended, he stretched out 2 fingers and gently grabbed at the sky. Soon he caught the saber. A clanging sound echoed. The saber was stopped in midair. Then Lin Xian's arm flew away. With a cracking sound, the saber shattered. As for that saber wielder, his body split in 2. Blood sprinkled down from the sky. Ah! A crazy roar echoed. The surrounding people were all stunned. What happened? That saber wielder roared, and the 2 halves of his body quickly retreated. However, Lin Xian slapped out with his palm, and turned that broken body into a bloody mist. Sword chi filled the sky and destroyed that saber wielder's soul. Dead. Everyone was stunned. Even the people from the buried Emperor Star were stunned. What's going on? His opponent actually killed one of their people. Do you want to die? Xue Linglong roared. The people behind him pulled out their swords and sabers and stepped forward. They firmly locked onto Lin Xian. Kid, obediently kneel down and accept your death. You dared to kill our companion. No one in the heavens or the earth can save you. A series of furious roars could be heard. On the other side, Han Chong, Jingyan and the others frowned. Their gazes locked onto Lin Xian's clone. They wanted to completely see through him. However, they discovered that his body was enveloped by an extremely powerful great Tao and sword light. They were simply unable to see who he was. Faced with such a terrifying lineup, Lin Xian did not care at all. He sneered. What? You can't take it anymore? I gave him a chance to scram, but he didn't cherish it. Also, do you think I've gone too far? During this period of time, you fought everywhere and killed many experts and geniuses of the true spirit world. Lin Xian's voice became ice-cold. The others also clenched their fists. Indeed, these people from the buried Emperor Star had held back at the beginning. However, recently, all the geniuses and experts who had been defeated by them had been killed. It could be said that the number of geniuses of true spirit world that had died at his hands was innumerable. Now Lin Xian was just using the same method to return the favor. Who do you think you are? How can you compare our lives? The men gnashed their teeth. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Are you trying to challenge me? As he said that, he struck out with his palm again. A stream of sword chi flew out from his palm, and streaked across the sky, courting death. That person was also a peerless swordsman. With a furious roar, sword chi danced in the air, and a terrifying sword Dao aura roared unceasingly. The laws of heaven and earth filled the air. However, in an instant he was pierced through. How could this be? How could his opponent's sword chi be so terrifying? The surrounding people also cried out in surprise. Who was this person? He was too strong. Killing people from the buried Emperor Star was like squashing ants. This was really too inconceivable. One had to know that they came from the buried Emperor Star. They were high and mighty gods while these people were ants. However, in front of this person their status seemed to have changed. This made it difficult for them to accept. All of you, retreat. I will personally take care of him. Xue Linglong waved her hand. Immediately, the surrounding people unwillingly retreated. However, their eyes were filled with sneers. With Xue Linglong making a move, the other party would undoubtedly die. Sure enough, Xue Linglong also walked forward. She looked at Lin Xian and said, Your strength is not bad. You have exceeded our expectations. However, you are simply not my match. I will give you a chance to live. Obediently kneel down and kowtow to me as an apology. Furthermore, from today onwards, you will follow me and become my battle servant. I can spare your life. You are not qualified to say such words. Moreover, I feel that your vision is too low. Do you really think that you are high and mighty? I can only say that you have seen too few experts. Lin Xian's voice was ice-cold. He was unmoved. However, Xue Linglong frowned. Very good. Kid, you have backbone. However, it is a pity that you are very stupid. Since you don't submit, then go to hell. From the looks of it, you should be a very terrifying sword saint. Since that is the case, I will let you fall in the strongest domain. I will let you experience my snow wind sword. Xue Linglong pulled out her sword. It was a sword made of ice. As soon as she appeared, the surrounding 9 heavens and 10 earths froze. The sword chi swayed, and the boundless law of ice filled the surroundings. There were also wind laws in the surroundings. The snow wind sword was a terrifying sword technique formed by two types of laws. After 3 moves you will definitely die. With a slash of her sword, the snow wind sword technique erupted. The surroundings were completely enveloped by terrifying frost and storm bricks. The surrounding people frantically retreated. They did not dare to resist at all. Even the people of the buried Emperor Star retreated far away. Xuelinglong's snow wind sword was famous in the world. Perhaps no one could withstand 3 moves from her. With such a sword technique, you want to kill me in 3 moves? Ridiculous. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian laughed. The surrounding laws quickly condensed and formed a sword of laws in his hand. Then he slashed it forward. This sword was like a peerless immortal light. It collided with the snow wind sword in the sky. Immediately, the wind and clouds changed and heaven and earth shattered. After the collision, the 2 swords spun in the air at the same time. Xuelinglong frowned. Then she stabbed out with her sword. At this moment, all the sword chi in the world gathered on the tip of her sword and stabbed forward. At this moment, all the experts and geniuses felt their hair stand on end. However, Lin Xian was not afraid at all. Another sword strike blocked the other party's attack. 2 sword attacks. There was still a 3rd sword attack. Could Xuelinglong win? The surrounding people became nervous. They naturally hoped that Lin Xian would win. After all, this represented their true spirit world. As for the people of the buried Emperor Star, they were also frowning. Xuelinglong wouldn't be at a disadvantage, right? Han Chong shook his head. Impossible. Her ice laws are above mine. If you want her to be at a disadvantage, you will have to send a peak expert. Otherwise, only a sacred king would be able to do it. However, just as he finished speaking, his pupils shrank. Because after the 2 sword attacks, Lin Xian took a step forward. He laughed loudly and said, "Take a look at my sword technique." When the sword flew out, 10 types of laws danced between heaven and earth. This power was too terrifying. The sword chi slashed down as if it wanted to destroy heaven and earth. At this moment, the expressions of the people of the buried Emperor Star changed. The law of thunder, the law of fire, the law of wood. Damn it, there were so many laws. Who was this guy? They discovered that this sword attack seemed to contain many kinds of laws. How did he fuse them together so perfectly? Xuelinglong's pupils shrank. She had not even used her 3rd sword attack yet, but she had to face such a powerful attack. She had never thought that she would face danger. In a hurry, she could only quickly defend. There was very little sword chi, but it formed a powerful divine ability. Snow wind protection. A diagram of wind and snow circled around him, blocking the attack. Chapter 4400. The wind, snow, and frost that filled the sky seemed to want to freeze the sword chi. The 10 extinction swords fell, producing a sky-shaking sound. Everything between heaven and earth was enveloped by the light, and nothing could be seen. The surrounding people also continuously retreated. When the light in front of them disappeared, they looked over with rapt attention. Then they were shocked. The people of the buried Emperor Star were also shocked. They discovered that Xuelinglong had retreated, and the snow wind protection on her body had already shattered. Otherwise, there would be blood flowing out of her body, and a sword wound would appear on her arm. She had almost split him apart. Injured, Xuelinglong was actually injured? This was too inconceivable. Han Chong did not dare to believe it. On the other side, Jingyun's expression was also incomparably grave. It seemed that this time, they had really encountered an expert. Changsun Taiyan sighed. I already said that there were hidden dragons and crouching tigers in the true spirit world. Don't be careless. But you didn't listen. Now you've suffered. Shut up. Xuelinglong crazily roared. Then she turned her head, her eyes releasing biting cold killing intent. Kid, you've completely angered me. Today you'll definitely die. The aura on her body erupted once again, becoming even more terrifying than before. The snow wind sword in her hand seemed to have transformed into a snow wind dragon, dancing between heaven and earth. On the other side, Lin Xian stood proudly, not caring at all. However, at this moment, Lin Xian's real body was startled, because he heard a voice transmission. It was transmitted to him by Fu Hongya. It seemed that something was summoning him. Lin Xian took a deep breath and glanced at the battlefield in front of him. Then his body disappeared into the crowd. In front of him, Lin Xian's clone also said coldly, "Today I'll spare your life. You'd better not meet me in the future. Otherwise you'll definitely die." After saying that, Lin Xian's body gradually disappeared. "Want to leave? How is that possible? Go to hell." Shui Linglong furiously roared, and her sword chi slashed forward. Snow Wind Dragon. This was an extremely terrifying divine ability. The surroundings were completely destroyed in an instant. Many people were sent flying, vomiting blood. The expressions of the people from the buried Emperor Star changed greatly. Is this woman crazy? She actually used such a shocking move. However, before this sword could land, they saw Lin Xian's body turn into endless nomological laws and disappear into the sky. They were dumbfounded. Was this a law avatar? Shui Linglong was also stunned. Her sword stopped in midair, and her expression became extremely ugly. She was actually injured by a clone. Who was it? His gaze swept across the land. To him, this was simply a great humiliation. Slap his face. When the others learned of this, they all cried out in alarm. How could there be such a top expert in the true spirit world? Could a clone defeat a genius from the buried Emperor Star? How come I've never heard of it? Shui Linglong gritted her teeth. Find him and tear him to pieces. The geniuses of the buried Emperor Star all moved out. However, Lin Xian had already disappeared, so these people couldn't find him. This matter quickly spread out and shocked the world. In an instant, everyone was discussing who exactly it was. On the other side, Lin Xian left and flew into the distance. Soon he saw Fu Hongya standing there. Little martial ant, Fu Hongya greeted him. Lin Xian asked, "What's the matter? Why are you in such a hurry? Master seems to want to make a move against the 10,000 Swords Pavilion." Hearing this, Lin Xian was shocked. Make a move against the 10,000 Swords Pavilion? The 10,000 Swords Pavilion had already sealed the holy city. Moreover, the divine ghost sacred king had brought some experts and geniuses to the true spirit world. If he guessed correctly, they should be together with the Silver Corpse sacred king's people. Making a move at this time meant that the final battle was about to begin. I don't know the details, but Senior Brother Ling Hu told me that they had already found some of the 10,000 Swords Pavilion's elders and geniuses. He said that they could take revenge. Revenge? Lin Xian's eyes flickered and he nodded. It's time to take revenge. Previously, the Acheron Palace, the Great Desolate Mansion, and the 10,000 Swords Pavilion had joined forces to seal the Peerless City. Now that the Great Desolate Mansion had been destroyed, it was time to make the 10,000 Swords Pavilion pay the price. The two of them turned into lightning and left quickly. Eastern Wilderness. It was a place with a top-grade spiritual vein. The mountains here were like sharp swords standing on the ground, emitting a biting cold aura. There were also sword scars in the surroundings. It was clear that a great battle had taken place here in the past between sword cultivators. Many swordsmen wanted to come and comprehend it. At this moment, there was a group of people here, but their faces were cold. These people were from the 10,000 Swords Pavilion. The 10,000 Swords Pavilion had been sealed, but a group of experts and geniuses had walked out. They had followed the sacred king to the true spirit world. At this moment, they had come together to comprehend the sword Dao aura to improve themselves. However, they did not expect to meet the people from the Peerless City. Ling Hu Chuexue had brought the personal disciples of the Peerless City. After arriving, he stared ahead. You guys are really here. The faces of the 10,000 Swords Pavilion's people turned ugly. They knew that the Great Desolate Mansion had been destroyed, so they felt their scalps go numb when they saw the Peerless City. Were they going to attack them? However, when they saw that only Ling Hu Chuexue and the others were there, the elders of the 10,000 Swords Pavilion in front of them snorted coldly. You dare to come here with just the likes of you? Aren't you afraid of going to hell? You want us to go to hell? Who gave you the courage to say such words? A cold voice came from the sky. Then two figures descended. They were Lin Xian and Fu Hongya. Young martial uncle, you're here. Ling Hu Chuexue, Shengguan Shaoxian. And the others bowed when they saw Lin Xian. Lin Xian nodded and walked to the front. Are all the people from the 10,000 Swords Pavilion here? He looked around. Ling Chueshua said no, but more than half of them were here, so this was a good opportunity to attack. Lin Xian walked out and said coldly, "The 10,000 Swords Pavilion used a sneak attack on Peerless City. It's time to pay it back. I'll give you a chance now. Kneel down and kowtow to us and admit your mistakes. If you do, we'll give you a quick death. Of course, you can choose to resist, but I can guarantee that you'll regret it later." The faces of the 10,000 Swords Pavilion's people turned cold when they heard what Lin Xian said. One of the elders snorted coldly, "Kid, don't be too arrogant. There are only a few of us here. If we really fight, it's hard to say who will win if the sage rulers don't intervene. Is that so? Do you want to fight one-on-one or all of us? Just tell us. We'll keep you company anytime." Lin Xian sneered. "Kid, aren't you arrogant? Do you dare to compete with us in swordsmanship?" The elder waved his hand, and 6 more figures walked out. Each of them carried an ancient sword on their back, and their sword chi was sharp. It seemed like they could tear everything apart. Chapter 44:01. As soon as they appeared, they stood in different directions, forming an extremely terrifying aura that swept across the surroundings. This mountain range was called Broken Sword Mountain, and countless sword experts were meditating there. Therefore, in addition to the people from the 10,000 Swords Pavilion, there were also people from other mountains. At this moment, they all looked over when they sensed the aura. In the next moment they exclaimed, "Is a battle about to break out?" When they saw those people forming a terrifying sword formation, their pupils constricted. "This aura? It's a very powerful sword formation. Who are these people?" One of them said. He heard that they were from the second astral realm, and were all sword experts from the 10,000 Swords Pavilion. The elder from the 10,000 Swords Pavilion also sneered. "Kid, can you withstand our 6-pulse sword formation? If you can't, get lost." How can a mere sword formation not be able to withstand it?" Ling Chueshua took a step forward, and a terrifying sword chi also rose from his body. Fu Hongye, Shengguan Shaoxian, and the others also walked out with terrifying auras. The battle was about to break out. However, Lin Xian said, "No, it's just a small sword formation. I don't need you guys to attack together. I'll be fine by myself." Hearing that, the surrounding sword saints were stunned. What kind of joke is this? This kid wants to break such a terrifying sword formation alone? In their opinion, that was simply audacious. He's courting death. Those who were watching also sneered. "You're courting death. All right, you said it yourself. Don't blame us. Don't hold back." 6 experts stood out and surrounded Lin Xian. The 6 of them released a terrifying aura, and everyone was worried for Lin Xian. However, Lin Xian sneered. "Make your move, or you won't have a chance. You're courting death." The 6 of them roared and then quickly attacked. Terrifying sword chi swept out, shaking the heavens and the earth. It was as if divine chains were descending from the sky towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian condensed the 10 ultimate swords and slashed out. It was as if a peerless sword light swept across heaven and earth. The light of his sword actually surpassed the 6-pulse sword formation. Countless people were shocked. With a clang, the sword chi of the 6-pulse sword formation was split apart. Lin Xian's 10 pinnacle swords attacked one of them. That person roared angrily and used a sword formation to block. However, it was completely useless. The other 5 people acted together, and only then did they block this sword. At this moment, the faces of the people from the 10,000 Swords Pavilion were filled with incomparable fear. The sword saints watching the battle from afar were also stunned. Who was this kid? Wasn't his swordsmanship too terrifying? After all, the 10,000 Swords Pavilion had sent out 6 sword experts. When they formed a sword formation, no one below the Saint King realm would be able to withstand it. However, in Lin Xian's hands, it was as if it could not withstand a single blow and was easily broken apart. Lin Xian had almost killed a powerful sword saint right there, and then, "Looks like your sword formation isn't that great either." Lin Xian sneered. Then he attacked again, and a terrifying sword chi flew out. He charged towards the other person. The 10 pinnacle swords formed by 10 types of laws were extremely powerful. Coupled with Lin Xian's strength, it could be said that it could sweep through everything. No matter how strong the 6-pulse sword formation was, how could it block it? Therefore Lin Xian suppressed the entire sword formation with one sword. Some people attacked crazily, and the sword formation changed rapidly. It formed a terrifying attack that enveloped Lin Xian. Lin Xian snorted coldly. 9 suns opening sky. With a slash of his sword, a golden sword light shot into the sky as if it was going to split heaven and earth. After one attack, the 6-pole sword formation was directly shattered. One of them was split in half. Then Lin Xian's long sword swept across. Boom. Another 2 sword saints were split apart. With another slash, everyone was split apart. They vomited blood and their bodies turned into a bloody mist. The 6-pole sword formation was not bad, but it was used by 6 trash like you. Lin Xian said indifferently. The surrounding people were all stunned. Was he dead? The other party easily broke the 6-pole sword formation and killed 6 sword Dao experts. It was unbelievable. The people of the 10,000 Swords Pavilion became extremely frightened. The people who were watching the battle from afar were also horrified. He was too strong. He was definitely a top-notch genius. No wonder he was so confident. How was that possible? The elders of the 10,000 Swords Pavilion's faces became extremely ugly. They quickly retreated. Damn it! Run and inform our Sage King. They wanted to escape quickly. Lin Xian waved his hand. Behind him, Ling Hu Chuexiue, Shengguan Shaoxian, and the others all walked up. They began to suppress. Lu Yuan formed a seal with his palms, and countless frost froze the entire world. Do you think it's possible to escape? A cold voice sounded. The people of the 10,000 Swords Pavilion were really desperate. This time, they were afraid that they would not be able to escape. However, at this moment, a sword chi descended from the sky. It had an unpredictable power that seemed to be able to suppress everything. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian's pupils constricted. He took out the great spear of destruction, roared angrily, and rushed out directly. With a boom, the two collided. Lin Xian retreated, his face pale. The boundless devil chi still managed to block the sword. Ling Hu Chuexiue and the others' faces changed drastically. The surrounding people were even more shocked. This was the aura of a Sage King. A Sage King had arrived. The people of the 10,000 Swords Pavilion were so excited that they were about to cry. A Sage King. Great, their divine ghost sword saint had arrived. Boy, do you dare to attack the 10,000 Swords Pavilion? The divine ghost sword saint appeared in the sky and looked down coldly. Lin Xian snorted coldly, holding the great spear of destruction in his hand. He said coldly, "You should have thought of this when you attacked Wuxia City." The people in the distance were stunned. This kid was actually not dead. This kid was actually able to block the attack of a Sage King. One had to know that the gap between a Sage King and a Sage King was simply too big. A Sage King could kill a group of Sage Kings with a single glance. But at this moment, the other party was still alive. It seems that you have a Sage King in your hands. But do you think you can compete with me just because you're like this? The difference is too big. The divine ghost sword saint sneered. At this moment, a voice came from behind Lin Xian. Is that so? Then you can try again. The Wuxia Sage King walked out of the vortex. That's great, master. Ling Hu Chuexiue and the others exclaimed. Lin Xian also nodded. It seemed like the crisis had been resolved. However, even if the Wuxia Sage King did not come, he could still leave calmly. Wuxia, do you really want to be my enemy? The divine ghost sword saint's expression was unusually cold. The Wuxia Sage King sneered. You were the one who wanted to be my enemy first. The Great Desolate Mansion will be your end. If you still remember the Great Desolate Mansion, then today is the day you die. In the void, an old Sage King walked out. It was the old Sage King of the Great Desolate Mansion. At this moment he had aged again, and his hair was even whiter. It was obvious that using too much power previously had a great impact on him. However, he still came because he wanted to kill the Wuxia Sage King. Chapter 4402. Soaring Sky Sage King walked out of the void, suppressing the entire area. The sword sages who were watching the battle from afar were stunned. The Sage Kings had come out together. Oh my god! Was this going to be a great battle? They retreated frantically. I knew that you would team up. Did you think I wasn't prepared? As soon as he finished speaking, Kunlun Sage King walked out. So did Wuji Sage King. Is that so? Do you really think you can overturn the heavens this time? After that, the Silver Corpse Sage King walked out. Beside him was another figure. It was Sage King Spirit Yen. Many people's eyes narrowed when they saw him. Even Lin Xian's expression changed. This was an extremely terrifying Saint King. Mid-stage Sage King. He was different from the old Sage King of the Great Baron Mansion. Sage King Spirit Yan's vitality was very strong. He was probably even stronger. The appearance of Saint King Yanling caused everyone to be shocked. Such a terrifying Saint King could definitely sweep through everything. Even Lin Xian and the others frowned. Two great Sage Kings walked out from Peerless Sage King's side. The Holy Kings of the Heavenly Fragrance Pavilion, Joyous Union Palace, and Vast Ocean Shop had all come out. Their auras were unparalleled. When they joined hands, they were no weaker than their opponents. Seeing so many Sage Kings gathered together, a great battle was about to break out. Everyone, please don't fight. At this moment, Sage Wang from the Five Elements Sacred Land flew over and said loudly. Other than him, there was another Sage King from a sacred land. It was Sage King of All Beginnings. The two of them said that they could discuss anything. There was nothing to discuss. Peerless Sage King said coldly. On the other side, Silver Corpse Sage King also snorted. Do you think we're afraid of you? The killing intent between the two sides became sharper. However, Five Elements Sage King and Sage King of All Beginnings said that if they really wanted to fight, they should abide by the rules and not fight in Eastern Wilderness. It was better to fight in the outer region. They were here because they were afraid that the battle between the Sage Kings would affect the entire Eastern Wilderness. Yes, there were other solutions. For example, they could let the younger generation fight. These Sage Kings were too strong. It was better to let the younger generation fight. Peerless Sage King laughed. Do you think they dare to fight? They had gone too far. Saint King Divine Ghost snorted. He stared ahead and said, why wouldn't he dare to let the young disciples fight? However, this fellow could not make a move. Isn't he your junior brother? Isn't he no longer part of the younger generation? Oh really? So you admit that you and I are on equal footing? Lin Xian also sneered. Very well. Have your disciples and grand-disciples come over, kowtow to me and call me ancestor. I won't do it. Damn it. Saint King Divine Ghost snorted coldly. The faces of the people from the 10,000 Swords Pavilion turned ugly. On the other hand, Peerless Saint King said, sure, my junior brother won't fight. How about it? Do you dare this time? Next, the younger generation continued their battles. However, the results were shocking. Even if Lin Xian didn't make a move, Ling Huchueshua, Fu Hongya, and the other personal disciples were equally terrifying. The people from the 10,000 Swords Pavilion were no match for him. Even Wan Jiani was defeated by Ling Huchueshua again. Many of the geniuses were even slain. This scene caused Saint King Divine Ghost's heart to bleed. He snorted coldly, and his body once again emitted a biting cold killing intent. However, at this moment, someone walked over from afar. Was someone teaching him? It seemed to be the people from the second astral realm. Hearing this voice, the Saint Kings all turned their heads and looked over. The people in the distance were even more shocked. Were there more Saint Kings? However, they were surprised when they discovered that it wasn't a group of young people, but the people from the buried Emperor Star. Peerless Saint King and the others also narrowed their eyes. What were the people from the buried Emperor Star doing here at this time? I heard that there are many geniuses in the second astral realm. I wonder if we can exchange pointers now? Someone said coldly. Another person said, along the way, I've always heard that the personal disciples of Peerless Saint City are very powerful. Why don't we fight now? Hearing this, the surrounding people all sucked in a breath of cold air. Were these people going to challenge again? Saint King Divine Ghost and the others sneered coldly. Ling Huchueshua said, if you want to challenge, sure, but you have to wait until we get our revenge first. After saying that, they wanted to continue fighting. However, those people walked over and said, what? You don't want to fight with us? You're not giving us face. Their faces darkened, and their bodies emitted an extremely terrifying aura. Lin Xian frowned. Ling Huchueshua and the others also said, are you trying to stop us from taking revenge? Or are you planning to help the 10,000 Swords Pavilion? I'll help the 10,000 Swords Pavilion. What's wrong? If you have the ability, then fight me. These people sneered. Ling Hu Chuexiue and the others' faces became incomparably cold. Lin Xian also frowned. What was going on? Could it be that these people from the buried Emperor Star were invited by Saint King Divine Ghost and the others? Suddenly he remembered something. Back in the primordial grotto, Saint King Spirit Yen had invited the Reincarnation Protector. Beside the Reincarnation Protector sat Han Chong and the others. In other words, Saint King Spirit Yen was related to the Reincarnation Protector. That was why he was able to invite these people. Since you want to fight, then we'll accompany you to the end. Ling Hu Chuexiue, Fu Hongya and the others coldly snorted. They can see that these people are here to cause trouble. Since that's the case, then they won't be polite. The surrounding people were stunned. With so many Saint Kings appearing together, other than the Sword Saints in the distance, the other people from the Eastern Wasteland also came over. They were watching the battle from afar. When they saw this scene, they all cried out in alarm. It seems like another top-level battle is about to erupt. At this time, Lin Xian also walked over. I was wondering who you were. Turns out you're just a defeated opponent. Trash like you don't have the qualifications to be arrogant in front of us. Who are you? The people from the buried Emperor Star stared at Lin Xian, their eyes releasing biting cold killing intent. Lin Xian stared at the blue-robed man with a trace of disdain in his eyes. The blue-robed man was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Damn it, that kid is actually here. His expression became incomparably unsightly. A bunch of nonsense. Back in the void, it was you who launched a sneak attack. I was careless. That's why I was defeated. Otherwise you think you're my match? Oh, is that so? Good, I'll give you a chance. Attack me with all your strength. If I can't kill you in one move, I'll admit defeat. Lin Xian waved his hand, his eyes containing a trace of sneer. After the surrounding people heard this, they were incomparably shocked. A genius from the buried Emperor Star, who lost in one move? Who is this? He's too insolent. Countless people cried out in alarm. Even the Saint Kings were startled. Chapter 4403. The blue-robed man was even more furious. He was so angry that he went crazy. At this moment, the armored man on Jingyun's side said, Lan Chen, he has already issued such a challenge. Don't tell me you don't dare to accept it? If you can't even block a single move from him, what qualifications do you have to stand here? I think you should scram back to your family as soon as possible. Damn it, shut up. Lan Chen roared. Then he raised his head and stared at Lin Xian. His eyes blossomed with incomparable killing intent. Brat, you don't know the difference between life and death. I will definitely make you regret it. Since the other party had issued such a challenge, how could he not accept it? In the next moment, he furiously roared and his palms continuously formed seals. 9 blue lights appeared on his body and connected with each other, forming a blue palace that released an incomparable aura. Is this the legendary Blue Sea Star Palace? Many people on the buried Emperor Star were astonished. It seems that Lan Chen is really going all out. He immediately used his strongest divine ability. Feeling the terror of the Blue Palace, the 10,000 Swords Pavilion's people sucked in a mouthful of cold air. Even Ling Hu Chuexiue and the others had incomparably grave expressions. They naturally felt the terror of this attack. As expected of someone from the buried Emperor Star, he is really too strong. Brat, this is the result of provoking me. Lan Chen roared and controlled the South Sea Palace to fly out. At this moment, everyone became nervous. The sage rulers were also incomparably nervous. After all, the other party was a genius from the buried Emperor Star. Lin Xian sneered again and again. When the other party attacked, he sent out a palm. His palm was covered with endless light, as if it had turned into a golden sun. It was incomparably resplendent. With a boom, this attack collided with the other party's immortal palace, erupting with an incomparable aura. The surrounding mountains continued to shatter, and the earth began to split apart. After this attack, it was as if thousands of suns in the sky had cracked together. Then, cracks appeared on the Blue Sea Star Palace. It was torn apart. Boom. Lan Chen's body was also affected by this attack and quickly retreated. However, it was not over. Lin Xian's hand did not stop there. He directly grabbed the other party's neck and ruthlessly slammed the other party to the ground. Boom. The earth shattered, spreading in all directions, and a black hole appeared. Lan Chen felt dizzy, and cracks appeared on his body. He let out a painful roar. The surrounding people were completely stunned. Heavens, what's going on? Was Lan Chen really defeated in a single move? That was the most powerful technique. Even Sacred King Divine Ghost, Sacred King Silver Corpse, and the others were shocked. They knew about Lan Chen's identity. The geniuses from the powerful clans of the buried Emperor Star would definitely be able to sweep through everything here. Apart from the people from the Emperor clan, no one else was their match. But now he had actually lost. Furthermore, he was defeated in a single move. They looked at Lin Xian with a cold look in their eyes. Such a person must not be allowed to live. Because to them, the threat was too great. Ah! Damn it, I'm going to kill you. Lan Chen, who was on the ground, kept roaring. The power in his body surged once again. It seemed like he wanted to counterattack. However, Lin Xian stepped on him and said coldly, "Trash, if you move again I'll kill you." Everyone's eyes almost popped out. A genius from the buried Emperor Star was actually treated like this. Sure enough, those people from the buried Emperor Star furiously roared. "Damn it, take your foot away. You actually dared to injure Lan Chen. You're dead. Brat, quickly kneel down and apologize, otherwise I'll tear you into 10,000 pieces." What, you don't accept it? If you don't accept it, then come and fight. I guarantee that your end will be even more miserable than his. Lin Xian's gaze swept all around. His eyes contained a trace of coldness. As for those people in front, they were all startled. For a moment, no one dared to speak. The reason for that was because the power that Lin Xian had unleashed earlier was simply too powerful. It had caused them to feel apprehensive. Seeing that no one dared to say anything, Lin Xian coldly groaned. Truly a bunch of trash. What genius from the buried Emperor Star. In my opinion, you're just SOSO. Damn it. Those people were so angry that they wanted to vomit blood. They are high and mighty. When have they ever been suppressed like this? Lin Xian looked around and stared at some other people. He looked at the battle-armored man and said, "You were the one who was arrogant before, right? You think you're stronger than him? Then make a move, I'll give you a chance." The battle-armored man's expression instantly became unsightly. He was indeed arrogant, but he didn't expect that Lin Xian's strength would be so strong. However, since he was targeted in front of everyone, it was impossible for him to not make a move. Therefore, in the next moment he said, "Brat, my strength is not something that Lan Chen can compare to. Since you're challenging me, I can only say that you're courting death. Enough nonsense. Come here and accept your death." Lin Xian waved his hand and directly grabbed at the front. The battle-armored man's figure flashed and he instantly dodged. His expression became completely gloomy. Then, countless laws appeared on his body and quickly spread out, forming a mirror. This mirror bloomed in the sky, causing the entire sky to darken. And within the mirror, a ray of light appeared. It was extremely terrifying. "Brat, go die under my heaven-breaking mirror." With a roar, the heaven-breaking mirror exploded with an incomparable light. It could even pierce through the sky, let alone a young man. At this moment, the mountains and rivers shattered and everything in the surroundings was cracking. The people of the true spirit world went crazy. What kind of method was this? It was simply unimaginable. On the other hand, Lin Xian laughed loudly. "Kill." His palm formed the man-ruler seal and slapped forward. Boundless power surged out, and a domineering aura enveloped the world. It directly collided with the opponent's heaven-breaking mirror. With an earth-shattering boom, the world shook. The man-ruler seal bloomed with light, and swept across the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Cracks appeared on the heaven-breaking mirror, and then the mirror shattered. The battle-armored man vomited blood, and was sent flying again. Then he was grabbed by Lin Xian's palm and stepped on. At this moment, everyone was stunned. The people of the buried Emperor Star were stunned. Had the heaven-breaking mirror been shattered? Damn it, what kind of secret technique did this guy use? Some people's expressions turned ugly. This was a secret technique from the eternal battlefield. Damn it, he had been to the eternal battlefield. and he had obtained a heaven-defying fortune. With this little strength, you dare to challenge me? It seems that you don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Lin Xian stepped on the two geniuses. Then he said coldly, previously, it was a grudge between Wuxia City and the 10,000 Swords Pavilion. But what about you? Relying on your powerful status, you came to help the 10,000 Swords Pavilion suppress Wuxia City. I can only say that you have miscalculated. I want to see if you still dare to interfere in the matters of Wuxia City. Get lost. Lin Xian roared. Chapter 4404. Sacred Monarch Divine Ghost and the others had extremely unsightly expressions. The 10,000 Sword Pavilion's people were dumbfounded. The other party's strength was so strong that even if they all attacked together, they wouldn't be his match. The buried Emperor Star's people had unsightly expressions. A figure walked out. He was wearing a cloud robe and his aura was terrifying to the extreme. Brat, let go of my people and break your own arms. I will spare your life. Hearing this, Lin Xian didn't say anything. Instead, he exerted force with his foot, and the armored man under his feet was torn apart. He let out a miserable roar. Seeing this scene, Jingyan was instantly enraged. You're courting death. I will let you know how powerful our buried Emperor Star is. After speaking, he walked out. The others sucked in a mouthful of cold air. Jingyan was going to personally make a move? This was too inconceivable. Jingyan was an extremely terrifying existence even among the buried Emperor Star's people. His strength far surpassed the previous two people. If he made a move, the other party wouldn't be able to block it. Ling Huchueshua and the others became nervous again. They could naturally feel that this person's aura was even stronger than the previous two people. Clearly, this person was an extremely terrifying expert. I will let you experience my Heaven Cloud Palm. Jingyan stretched out his palms and slapped forward. His palms were mysterious and unfathomable. They suddenly became larger, and seemed to transform into a part of the sky as they pressed down from the sky. Lin Xian punched out. The terrifying power of his divine body shattered the void. However, he discovered that he didn't shatter the palm. This made him feel astonished. Sure enough, this person was strong enough. It seemed that this person was a leader-level character. He far surpassed the previous two people. Lin Xian also slapped out with his palm. Divine flames overflowed and blocked the clouds that filled the sky. The two people's power was in a deadlock in the sky. The surrounding void spread out in all directions. Seeing this scene, the true spirit world's cultivators cried out in alarm. This was a divine body. Too powerful, worthy of being the central emperor. This was a peak expert from our true spirit world. Great. Defeat him, suppress him, sweep away everything. Let them know that our true spirit world also had experts. At this moment, countless people were cheering for Lin Xian. On the other side, Sacred King Silver Corpse, Sacred King Divine Ghost, and the others had cold expressions. However, they didn't say anything, because Lin Xian's strength was indeed very strong. Until now he had not been defeated. Even if he faced Jingyan, they were evenly matched. Who would dare to mock such a person now? After blocking his opponent's attack, Lin Xian sneered. You're only a so-so. You were so arrogant before, so I thought you were very powerful. You are indeed more powerful than the previous two, but you are not that much stronger. Damn brat, don't be so arrogant. Jingyan gritted his teeth. He was about to go crazy. He did not expect that the other party could actually block his sky cloud palm. But so what? His heaven cloud palm was mysterious and unfathomable. And this was just the beginning. The first transformation of the 6 transformations of the heavenly clouds. With a furious roar, the palm suddenly erupted with an incomparable aura, causing everyone's hair to stand on end. It was too scary. Everyone was shocked. Sure enough, the divine fire in the sky was wrapped in the clouds and became incomparably hazy. However, the palm seemed to have passed through everything and attacked Lin Xian. Lin Xian snorted coldly. With a clench of his fist, he turned into a golden crow and rushed over, enveloping the countless rays of light. In the next moment, the two collided, and it was as if the world had split open. The surrounding sacred kings attacked, sending this power into the sky. Otherwise, the mountains and rivers of the eastern wilderness would have been shattered by this attack. Second transformation. Third transformation. Seeing this scene, Jingyun did not say anything and directly attacked again. He was really crazy, so he used his power recklessly. He seemed to have turned into a supreme god that could sweep through everything. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He stood there proudly and formed a hand seal again, forming the man-ruler seal. At this moment, a powerful aura emanated from his body, shocking everyone. They even wanted to kneel down and worship Lin Xian. What kind of boldness was this? On the other hand, Lin Xian slapped out with his palm. The powerful man-ruler seal collapsed the sky and split the earth. Even the supreme existences in the 9 heavens and 10 earths would not be able to escape from this attack. Boom. Sure enough, the other party's divine ability was broken again, and the man-ruler seal continued to attack. Damn it. Fourth transformation. Fifth transformation. Jingyun's pupils constricted. He did not expect that the other party could break his divine ability. He roared angrily. At this moment, countless palms appeared in the sky. Each of them carried an extremely powerful force that enveloped down. Finally, the man-ruler seal was blocked. As the man-ruler seal slowly disappeared, those palms mercilessly rushed towards Luo Yunyang. Jingyun finally revealed a cold smile. Kidde. The people of the buried Emperor Star also heaved a sigh of relief. How could he be a match for Jingyun? It seemed that he had used up all his strength. However, as soon as they finished speaking, their expressions became incomparably ugly, because they discovered that under Lin Xian's control, the man-ruler seal once again erupted with incomparable light. This attack penetrated through everything. However, in the end it also dissipated between heaven and earth. The surrounding people were stunned. It was too strong. A fierce battle between dragons and tigers, absolutely incomparably powerful. Is there anything else? If you don't have any divine ability, you will definitely lose, Lin Xian said coldly. On the opposite side, Jingyun's expression was grave. Kid, next, I will use the 6th transformation. You should be proud to be able to die under this kind of divine ability. It was obvious that the 6th transformation was an extremely powerful mystic art. Between heaven and earth, endless rays of light bloomed. The rays of light shrouded the area, and all of them gathered on Jingyun's palm. In his hand, there was a fog that spread out. With a light shake, the void shattered, mountains and rivers split open, causing everyone's scalp to go numb. This attack was too strong. Ling Hu Chuexue and the others were worried for Lin Xian. Even Peerless Saint King and the others frowned. Is this the strength of the people from the buried Emperor Star? They are indeed incomparably terrifying. This kind of divine ability was enough to sweep through everything. Lin Xian took a deep breath. Facing this palm, he did not use the man-ruler seal, but used another divine ability. Mountain Embracing Seal. Between heaven and earth, a divine mountain appeared, as if it had crossed over from ancient times. As soon as it appeared, the surrounding mountains began to shatter, and cracks began to appear. It was simply unable to withstand this power. The faces of the Saint Kings also changed. This is? They opened their eyes wide. The 5 elements Saint King and Saint King of all beginnings also exclaimed. Could this be the legendary divine ability, the Mountain Embracing Seal? How could this guy use it? Once the Mountain Embracing Seal appeared, it descended from the sky and shattered thousands of void. Then it collided with the 6th transformation of the Sky Cloud Hand. An earth-shattering sound rang out, and the earth shattered. Tens of thousands of mountains collapsed, and the clouds in the sky also disappeared. Jingyun was directly sent flying, violently vomiting blood. Chapter 4405. No. When the people of the buried Emperor Star saw this scene, they roared crazily. They had already used the 6th transformation of the Sky Cloud Hand. Could it be that they still couldn't defeat their opponent? At this moment, they felt a sense of despair. All along, they had thought that they were peerless geniuses that could trample anyone under their feet. But now they realized that they were wrong. It turned out that other worlds could also give birth to terrifying experts. In fact, killing them was no different from cutting vegetables. Lin Xian slowly retracted his palm and said indifferently, "To be defeated by the Mountain Embracing Seal, you should be proud." Boom. In the distance, Jingyun descended from the sky, forming a large crack. He stood up. His body was covered with wounds. It was extremely terrifying. At this moment his eyes were red. He lost. He was actually defeated. Damn brat, I'm going to kill you. After speaking, a ray of light flew out from between his eyebrows. Lin Xian coldly snorted. The sacred mountain in the sky descended to block the attack. However, the sacred mountain was instantly sent flying. Lin Xian was also sent flying back, smashing into two mountains. He felt that his arm was about to split open. When countless people saw this scene, they cried out in alarm. What is that thing? Jingyun looked up to the sky and laughed. Haha brat, you're dead. You want to compete with me? In your next life. An arrogant voice resounded between heaven and earth. The people of Peerless City and True Spirit World had extremely ugly expressions. Could it be that Lin Xian, who had just won, was killed by someone? Damn it. You sneak attacked me. Jingyun sneered. Who said that the battle was over? It was his own carelessness. Whoever is not convinced, come and die. He was incomparably powerful. Those below the Sage King realm did not dare to resist him. Great, this guy is finally dead. The people of the 10,000 Swords Pavilion laughed. The people of the buried Emperor Star also heaved a sigh of relief. However, a figure walked out from the shattered mountain in the distance. He threw countless huge rocks into the sky. Then he walked on the ground. Sneak attack me? You're already at the end of your road. Don't you have any other methods? However, do you really think that you can kill me like this? Lin Xian's voice was ice cold. He was also angry. If the Divine Mountain hadn't blocked that attack for him, he would have been dead already. This attack could penetrate his body. Clearly, that was his opponent's trump card. Not dead? The people from the buried Emperor Star were all stunned. Even Jingyun's pupils shrank. How could this be? Could it be because of the illusion of the sacred mountain? I didn't think that your luck would be so good to be able to survive. However, you'll definitely die now. The white light flew out from between his eyebrows again. It was only then that the crowd discovered that it was a palm carved out of white jade. It was incomparably mysterious and possessed an extremely powerful force. And inside, there was a blood-colored light. Clearly, that was a drop of blood that had been left behind by an expert for Jingyun to protect his life. Let's see how you're going to dodge this time. As he spoke, he waved his hand, and his jade-white palm rapidly shot forth. There was a monstrous law on it, and the aura of a powerhouse filled the air. Damn it, this isn't your power. Fu Hongye, Shengguan Shaoxian and the others roared. However, it was useless. The light from the palm was too powerful, and it instantly shot towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian's expression became incomparably cold. This was his opponent's super powerful trump card, and he had to use his trump card to contend against it. In the next moment, he directly took out the Great Destruction Spear and attacked. Boundless demonic chi surged like a peerless demon god. Everyone's expression changed. Sacred King Divine Ghost had instantly changed. He had used a Sacred King's weapon. There was no need to fight this battle anymore. However, Peerless Sacred King had blocked his opponent. Did you think that the jade white palm was the opponent's true strength? It contained the law and power of a powerhouse. If others can use their trump cards, why can't we? Sacred King Divine Ghost was speechless after hearing this. At this moment, the two attacks collided, and a shocking light burst out. The jade white palm was trembling from the impact. Lin Xian roared angrily. The great dragon sword soul in his body erupted, and the great destruction spear in his hand became even more terrifying. At this moment, his demonic chi was monstrous, as if he had turned into a demon god. One attack after another. In an instant, thousands of attacks were launched, and it directly collapsed. In the void. Then, cracks appeared on the jade white palm and it shattered with a loud bang. Boundless demonic chi swallowed everything. How was this possible? Jingyun was completely dumbfounded. Had his strongest trump card, his life-saving method, been destroyed? Damn it, that was a Sacred King's weapon. He gritted his teeth and roared. He wanted to say something, but Lin Xian had already arrived in front of him. The opponent had no trump card, and he did not need to use the Great Destruction Spear. Therefore, he directly slapped out. With a bang, the slap landed on the opponent's face and sent him flying. The opponent's face was directly shattered. The words he wanted to say were also forcefully extinguished. Then Lin Xian made his move. No one dared to compete with him in close combat. Sure enough, no matter how strong Jingyun was, he was beaten miserably in close combat. Soon his body was shattered. A bloody mist filled the sky, trying to escape. However, Lin Xian formed a Taiji diagram, and with one attack, endless yin and yang power appeared. Especially the law of death. It crazily absorbed the opponent's life force. Jingyun was so scared that his face turned pale. No. Damn it. Stop it. You dare to attack me, you're dead. Lin Xian coldly snorted and sent the opponent flying with a slap. He said coldly, "Now you know fear? Then when you challenged me just now, did you think that this would be the result? Do you think that if you weren't from the buried Emperor Star, you would be able to live until now? Your soul would have been destroyed long ago. But so what if you're from the buried Emperor Star? Come and apologize to us. Otherwise I won't let you off today." What? Jingyun was furious. His face became incomparably sinister. You want me to apologize? You want me to lower my head? Damn it, you want me to lose face? If I apologize, I reckon that I won't be able to raise my head again. If this matter spread, I will lose all my face. However, a trace of cold killing intent appeared in Lin Xian's eyes. If not for his senior brother Limitless Saint King and others' voice transmission, telling him to hold back and not become enemies with the buried Emperor Star, he would have already destroyed the opponent's star soul. Humph. Seeing the opponent hesitate, he directly split the opponent's body in half. What, you don't want to? Then I don't mind using some methods. Even if I don't kill you, I can keep you by my side and use some secret technique on you every day. I think you can endure for a few days. Hearing this, Jingyun's eyes filled with fear. This is even more unbearable than killing him. He can only say that he was wrong this time. He will apologize to you and spare his life. Once these words came out, the surrounding people were all stunned. The people of the buried Emperor Star were also stunned. Even someone as strong as Jingyun is begging for mercy? Who told you to stand? Kneel down and say it. Chapter 4406. Boom. Jingyun directly knelt down. Speak. Jingyun gritted his teeth so hard that they shattered. He fainted from anger. This was 10,000 times worse than killing him. Fainted? Lin Xian sneered. The other party was so arrogant before, and now he wanted to escape? He used the cold law of death to envelop the other party. Instantly the other party woke up and was terrified. I don't have much patience. You only have one chance. Lin Xian said coldly. Jingyun was in despair. He wished that the other party could kill him, but the other party didn't. The other party was tormenting him. I apologize. I shouldn't have attacked you. Please spare my life. Get lost. Don't let me see you again. Lin Xian waved his hand and said coldly. Jingyun retreated. He gritted his teeth and said, "Let's go." With that he left with his people. On the other side, Han Chang's eyes flickered. He also left with his people. Everyone knew that this matter wouldn't end like this. After all, these people came from the buried Emperor Star. After losing face here, they would definitely fight back. Lin Xian didn't care because he would soon head to the buried Emperor Star. When he arrived there, he would definitely stir up a storm. At that time, these people would only become his stepping stones. Then he looked ahead and sneered. Alright, no one cared about what happened here anymore. 10,000 Swords Pavilion, we can continue. The 10,000 Swords Pavilion's people were pale. They felt despair. Sacred King Divine Ghost's face was also ferocious. This scene was completely out of their expectations. Could it be that another battle was going to break out? However, Saint King Yanling frowned, because the other side had as many Saint Kings as they did. Once they started fighting, they would lose. Although they were strong, the deity Dao Union's people might be here. At that time, no one would know what the result would be. Sacred King Divine Ghost gritted his teeth. Are you really not going to give us any face? Sacred King Peerless snorted coldly. When you attacked Peerless City, did you think of giving us some face? Since you didn't, then prepare to suffer the consequences. Sacred King Soaring Sky from Myriad Demon City gritted his teeth and said, Sacred King Peerless, are you sure you want to do this? Peerless Saint King looked at him. Thousand Demon City, I still remember you. You've always been at odds with my Peerless City. Don't make me attack you. Hearing this, the soaring Sky Saint King's pupils constricted. He gritted his teeth with a ferocious expression. However, he didn't dare to say anything. They all looked at Spirit Saint King Yan. Sage King Yanling's eyes flickered. He had been scouting the surroundings. He wanted to know if the deity Dao Yunyan's people had come. But he never noticed. However, he did not dare to be careless. The deity Dao Yunyan was mysterious and unfathomable. Who knew when it would appear? All right, let's begin. It's a fair fight. My junior brother won't make a move, but my disciples will. You can send as many people as you want. Let's begin. Following that, Ling Huchueshue and the others began to attack. It wasn't just the young geniuses anymore. Even the elders were attacking. Seeing the elders attack, Lin Xian said, "Since you're using the elders, it's not too much for me to attack, right?" After saying that, he also attacked aggressively. The moment the Taiji diagram appeared, the two figures instantly turned into a bloody mist. Then, his man-ruler seal and mountain-embracing seal swept out in all directions. These elders could not withstand it at all. Not long after, another 3 people fell. Divine Ghost Saint King's heart was bleeding. He wanted to attack, but he was being watched by Peerless Saint King. This time, he did not bring many people with him, but every one of them was a top genius and expert. However, these people were all dying at this moment. If all of them died, then the loss would be too great. Finally, he could not hold it in any longer. A cold killing intent appeared in his eyes. At the same time, the void split open. A terrifying killing intent swept out, directly enveloping Lin Xian. This attack was really too terrifying. Heaven and earth changed. Everyone's expression changed. They could not react at all. Even Lin Xian's pupils shrank. At the critical moment, he activated the Great Sage Pagoda and was sent flying. The Great Sage Pagoda kept shaking, and Lin Xian spat out large mouthfuls of blood. At the same time, he used the Void Escape technique to quickly dodge. Humph! Peerless Saint King coldly snorted. The unparalleled sword flew out, cutting through the void. On the other side, Vast Ocean Saint also attacked. Endless seawater churned, and one sea beast after another swept out in all directions, covering the entire sky. Then, the void completely shattered. From inside, a person with a mistress appeared. A black-clothed figure appeared. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian snorted coldly. You really did attack again. It seemed that the Myriad Sword Pavilion and the human world were also connected. If that was the case, then there was no need for them to exist. Damn it! The surrounding people's pupils shrank. Even Divine Ghost Saint King was stunned. To be honest, he did not plan to let the human world attack, because he wanted to do it himself. How could this be? On the side, Silver Corpse Saint King said, "It's useless to think about it now. Let's join forces and kill them." Obviously, the human world's people were called over by Silver Corpse Saint King. Divine Ghost Saint King's face was ugly. But at this point, it was impossible for him to go back on his words. Now he could only join forces and kill Peerless Saint King and the others. Junior brother, you should retreat. Peerless Saint King unleashed a devouring vortex. Lin Xian nodded and quickly retreated. Next, there would be an even more terrifying battle between the Saint Kings. Sure enough, the surrounding people of the true spirit world were stunned. No way, the Saint Kings were going to attack. And there were so many of them. Peerless, today is the day you die. Divine Ghost Saint King roared and rushed over with the Firmament Sword. The Firmament Sword emitted endless killing intent, overturning heaven and earth. The surrounding people were all sent flying, vomiting blood. Run away quickly. They were no match for the battle between the Saint Kings. Peerless Saint King snorted coldly. At the same time, the surrounding people all retreated. The Saint Kings instantly attacked. Attack! Silver Corpse Saint King roared. But at this moment, the void split open. An array of light scattered, directly striking Spirit Saint King. Just as Spirit Saint King was about to attack, he was ambushed from behind and was sent flying. Even Silver Corpse Saint King was shocked. He hurriedly used the Yellow Springs diagram to defend. At the same time, he looked around and roared crazily. Who dares ambush us? Spirit Saint King Yin coughed up large mouthfuls of blood. His body had been shattered by this attack, and he was severely injured. Blood flowed, dyeing the 9 heavens red. He roared at the sky, his expression ferocious. His terrifying gaze pierced through the space behind him. In the void behind him, a hazy figure appeared. The aura emitted from his body was very mysterious. And above his head, there was a pagoda floating up and down. That pagoda was emitting a terrifying power. The aura on it was enough to shatter heaven and earth. The desolate tower's phantom? Spirit Saint King felt his hair stand on end. He felt a fatal aura. Chapter 4407. Had the Jade Lake Sacred Ground made a move? However, that was only an illusion. It didn't really walk out. And after that attack, it disappeared into the void. The surrounding Saint Kings also felt their hair stand on end. Desolation was an extreme weapon. An existence that could suppress everything. If it really exploded, they wouldn't be able to resist at all. But fortunately, the other party only attacked once and didn't attack again. One attack was enough. Saint King Kunlun walked out with a cold smile. The previous attack had already seriously injured Saint King's spirit word. Saint King Vassi and Saint King Baibua also walked out. They all stared at Saint King's spirit word. Saint King's spirit word's expression was extremely ugly. He was first seriously injured, and now he was targeted by 3 great sage kings. Even if he was very strong before, he was probably very dangerous now. He gritted his teeth and roared. You people dare to plot against me? You really don't know what death is. Saint King Vassi snorted coldly. Plot against you? What a joke. Previously, at the sacred assembly of the ancient grotto, we were all cursed. Then, we were poisoned by the great sage's corpse poison. Didn't you plot against us at that time? What face do you have to talk about us? Saint King Biua also snorted coldly. What do you want to say? Didn't you say that it was you who did it? If you really have nothing to do with the human world, then retreat now. We only target the divine ghost Saint Kings who are related to the human world. If you don't retreat, then you're in cahoots. What nonsense! You want to target the ancient grotto? The ancient grotto has never been afraid of anyone. At this time, Saint King's spirit word didn't admit that he had anything to do with the human world. After all, the human world was very terrifying. Every tens of thousands of years, they would attack the great sage once, setting off a sea of blood that terrified countless people. Every single time, the various holy lands had to join forces and attack together in order to quell such an existence. He wouldn't take the initiative to admit it. However, at this time, a voice sounded between heaven and earth. Is that so? Then your grandson is alive again. How do you explain that? Hearing this, Saint King Spirit Word's pupils constricted. He suddenly raised his head. In the next moment, he saw a young person fall from the sky. It was his grandson, Shiryinhu. When the Kunlun Sage King and the others saw this, their faces darkened. This was because they had seen with their own eyes that this young man had been killed by the people of the mortal world. However, at that moment he had come back to life. His situation was the same as Sacred King Desolate Heaven. Old thing, are you still saying that you have nothing to do with the human world? Then why is your grandson alive? The Divine King snorted coldly. Damn it, who was it that actually discovered the secret? Didn't he ask her grandson to hide properly? He looked up. In the next moment, his expression turned extremely cold. This was because he discovered that the person who had attacked was actually Scholar Immortal. Damn it, the Divine Dao Gates people really came. In the sky, the deity Dao Union's undying scholar said coldly, Immemorial Grotto, you are indeed in cahoots with the mortal world. Since that's the case, I'll eliminate all of you today. It seemed like this time, Divine Dao Gate was truly angered, wishing to get rid of World of Man, as well as those related to Time of Man. The surrounding people of the quintessential world also exclaimed in surprise. Immemorial Grotto was actually in cahoots with World of Man. This was really too unbelievable. Not only did World of Man make a move on the second astral realm, but it was also extremely terrifying in the quintessential world. It was the legendary Sacred Killing Hall. Now such a person had appeared again. This was really shocking to the great World of Man. Moreover, what shocked them even more was that the sacred city of the second astral realm was going to be completely eliminated. World of Man, damn it. Sacred King Yenling's expression turned cold. Since he had been discovered, he no longer hid it. He said coldly, That's right, I am indeed in cahoots with World of Man. So what? However, you guessed wrong. Not only am I in cahoots with World of Man, but I'm also a member of World of Man. When these words came out, even Sacred King Peerless and the others were stunned. The other party was originally a member of World of Man. Damn it. It seemed like everything that had happened before had been planned by the other party. Originally, I wanted to let you live a little longer, but since you want to court death, I'll fulfill your wish. Sacred King Yanling shouted coldly. Then he said, "Get ready to attack. Leave no one alive." After he finished speaking, the surrounding sky started to shatter. Sacred King Silver Corpse, Sacred King Divine Ghost, and Divine King Fei Tian also walked out. Extremely cold auras were emitted from their bodies. At the same time, there were many masked men in black around them. The power on their bodies was equally terrifying. These were all Sacred Kings. Acheron Hall, Great Desolation Mansion, and Wanjian Pavilion. You're all involved. Even the Myriad Demon City was participating. Very well. Immortal Scholar also emitted a terrifying aura. Not only you, but the sacred city that you're in doesn't need to exist anymore. Hearing this, the Sacred King's pupils shrank. Although they already knew that there would be such an outcome, when they heard this, their scalps still went numb. It seemed like they could only join forces with World of Man. Otherwise, they would have no way of surviving. The people of Thunder God City also went numb. They never thought that their previous friend was actually a member of World of Man. This scared them out of their wits. They hurriedly said, "This has nothing to do with us. We didn't know." Immortal Scholar glanced at these people and said, "Thunder God City indeed has nothing to do with this. However, you've all helped the evildoers. Now that the Sacred Kings have been killed, you deserve it. So, quickly leave this place." The people of Thunder God City turned pale and quickly retreated. Actually, it wasn't just them. Everyone in the surroundings was retreating. This was because more and more Sacred Kings had appeared. Countless terrifying auras were condensing in the sky. Those below the Sacred King realm simply couldn't withstand it. Lin Xian, Ling Huchueshue, and the others also quickly retreated. A vortex appeared on their bodies as they quickly flew into the distance. The geniuses of the other sacred cities did the same. Guan Songhai of Azure Ocean Palace, Qin Xianu of Acacia Palace, Kunlun Pavilion, and Heavenly Fragrance Pavilion did the same. They all quickly retreated. This was because they had already discussed this beforehand. Peerless Sacred King and the other Sacred Kings would join forces with the deity Dao Union and start a decisive battle with World of Man. Then, these young disciples would pass through the seal and head to the buried Emperor Star. This way, even if the deity Dao Union failed, World of Man wouldn't be able to threaten them. Soon Murong Qingcheng, Shen Jingqiu, and the others had all gathered. Even the dark red divine dragon, the toad, and the North Demon had all come. These people hadn't been to the primordial battlefield before. Chapter 4408. Lin Xian also sighed in his heart. Were they finally going to reach the buried Emperor Star? That was the place where countless great emperors were buried. There were countless secrets and even secrets to becoming an immortal. It was also the end of the ancient starry sky path. He wondered what kind of world it was. His eyes were filled with boundless hope and curiosity. Their goal this time was the Reincarnation Valley. They had to find the Reincarnation Protector. This should be the place, right? Guan Songhai looked around, and then looked at the valley. Let's go. These young geniuses quickly descended. They became incomparably respectful. After all, even their sage kings treated the Reincarnation Protector with respect. Junior requests an audience, Reincarnation Protector. Guan Songhai said loudly. His voice clearly spread in all directions. Everyone waited patiently, but there was no response. Guan Songhai called out again respectfully. At this moment, a voice rang out between heaven and earth. You are not qualified to see me. Ask your sage kings to come. Also, those below sage kings should not come here. This time, I will let you live. If you dare to come here again, your souls will be destroyed. Scram. A terrifying voice rushed over, followed by an earth-shattering sound that surged towards them. Everyone felt their pupils constrict. It was as if their bodies were about to be suppressed by 100,000 mountains. Even Lin Xian's face became incomparably pale. Too strong. This reincarnation protector was probably even more terrifying than Sage King. Yanling, was he a Sage King? Or had he already surpassed the Sage King realm? However, why did they attack him? He roared angrily. This power made it very difficult for him to open the Great Sage Tower. These people were in despair. Could it be that they were going to die? It had not been easy for them to reach this point. However, they were unable to resist this voice at all. These people's eyes were filled with despair. At this moment, a light flashed. Boundless black aura condensed and enveloped them. Then they completely disappeared. In the blink of an eye, everyone discovered that they had left the Reincarnation Valley and were outside. They did not know how many millions of miles they were away. Were they saved? These people all heaved a sigh of relief. Lin Xian was also surprised. Originally, he had wanted to use the Great Sage Pagoda to bring everyone in, but before he could do anything, someone had already made a move. Who could it be? To be able to take them away so easily, it was definitely a Saint King. The other people also turned their heads to look. In the next moment, they saw a black-robed person standing behind them. "Thank you for your help, Senior," those people said gratefully. Lin Xian was surprised. "Hey Shan, it's you." "That's right, the person who attacked was He Shan. You came just in time to scare this dragon to death." The dark red dragon also had a look of lingering fear on its face. The toad said, "Damn it, that guy is too arrogant. He obviously wants to kill us." There were also people who said, "Don't talk nonsense. The reincarnation protector only has a weird temper." However, after He Shan heard this, he sneered. "Eccentric? Not necessarily. What do you know?" Lin Xian asked. He Shan said that he had been invited to the primordial grotto. His relationship with Saint King Yanling was very unusual. If Saint King Yanling was from the mortal world, then what about him? When these words came out, everyone's scalps went numb. Lin Xian also said, "Is he also from the mortal world?" He Shan shook his head. Obviously he knew more. He said, "He's not. I'm guessing that he should be from the buried Emperor Star." "Is he from the buried Emperor Star?" Lin Xian was surprised. No wonder. This explained why the other party was so powerful, and why these Saint Kings were so respectful when they saw him. Also, during the Primordial Grotto's banquet, Han Cheng and the others stayed by his side. Because these people were originally from the buried Emperor Star. He Shan said that although he came from the buried Emperor Star, he was responsible for guarding the Reincarnation Valley all year round. He had stayed here for thousands of years. Therefore, his relationship with Saint King Yanling was definitely not ordinary. Even if he wasn't from the mortal world, perhaps this time, he would still stand on the side of the mortal world. Hearing this, the expressions of Lin Xian and the others became unsightly. If that was really the case, then they would be in danger. If that was the case, wouldn't they be unable to enter the buried Emperor Star? He Shan said that there was still a chance. As long as they could win this battle, it would be fine. "You guys stay here for now. I'll go and take a look at the situation. If necessary, I'll also take action." He Shan's eyes also flashed with a cold light. Lin Xian said, "Take us with you. We want to watch the battle from afar." "All right, I can only take you a short distance. However, you should still watch the battle through the formation. With so many Saint Kings fighting, kid, even if you have a trump card, it'll be very difficult to resist." Next, He Shan brought these people to the eastern wasteland. Then he soared into the sky. Because the Saint Kings were fighting, they had already arrived in the starry sky. He Shan set up a formation so that Lin Xian and the others could see the situation in the starry sky. At this moment, the situation of the battle was incomparably terrifying. The entire starry sky had been completely destroyed. Countless large cracks spread out, and the surrounding stars were shattered. Some were directly turned into dust. This was simply too shocking. One had to know that they were all top geniuses. They could sweep through everything in the sacred venerables. However, compared to the Saint Kings, they were still too weak. The methods of these Saint Kings terrified them. Peerless Saint King fought Saint King God Ghost. Both of them used sword techniques. It was very terrifying. The Peerless sword soared through the sky, majestic, and the Firmament sword was even sharper. When it stood up, It was very terrifying. However, Peerless Saint King seemed to be stronger. Moreover, the law of devouring was even more terrifying. In the end, he devoured the firmament sword. Then he slashed at Saint King God Ghost. Saint King God Ghost was instantly split in half. He was severely injured. He roared towards the sky and broke through the void, wanting to escape. Peerless Saint King snorted coldly. You want to escape? He also shattered the spatial passage with a sword and stopped the other party. Then he charged forward again. Peerless Saint King was Winelord's disciple. He had also received the law of devouring, and his strength was very terrifying. Therefore, no matter how strong Saint King God Ghost was, he was still defeated in the end, and was severely injured. Seeing that he could not escape, he roared angrily. Wuxia, do you think you can win against me? Even if I die, I will drag you to hell with me. The 10,000 ancestral swords on his body were even more terrifying. Sword Chi soared into the sky, and the illusion of the world surrounded him. This aura shocked everyone. The Saint Kings in the starry sky were all terrified. They knew that Saint King God Ghost was going to go all out. Below, the creatures on the eastern wasteland were trembling and kneeling on the ground. Chapter 4409. Do you want to risk your life? Wuxia Holy King roared in anger. His eyes were shining brightly. Then, the law of devour around him kept flashing, forming a black talisman that merged with the peerless sword. The sword slashed out. Everything was over. That sword strike shocked everyone. No one could block that terrifying power. After the sword, Divine Ghost Sage King completely disappeared, turning into a bloody mist. Everyone was stunned. A Sage King had fallen just like that. Lin Xian and the others were excited. They clenched their fists. As for the Sage Kings who were fighting in the extraterritorial battle, their hearts were heavy. The deity Dao Union was naturally happy, but the mortal world side was cold. Divine Ghost Sage King was an extremely terrifying Sage King. Now he had fallen to such a state. Peerless Sage King stood there looking disdainfully. He said coldly, Divine Ghost Sage King has fallen. We will find the 10,000 Swords Pavilion and destroy it completely. From now on, the 10,000 Swords Pavilion will be removed from the world. An ice-cold voice resounded through the air. On the other side, Kunlun Sage King also killed a mortal world sage killer. The bloody mist filled the sky again. Another divine king had fallen. Black Mountain also walked out. He stared at Soaring Sage King and said coldly, Since you are also a heavenly beast, I will give you a quick death. Surrender. Damn it you! Soaring Sage King roared. He was a Sage King. How could he lose without a fight? So he roared and turned into his true form. He held two swords and quickly attacked. The boundless saber light flickered in the starry heavens, and the surrounding stars dimmed. Heaven and earth were shattered. It was as if the starry sky was being destroyed. At this moment, the experts below raised their heads again. Their faces were filled with fear. Countless demonic beasts roared into the sky. Too powerful. However, Black Mountain sneered. When I ruled the world, you weren't even born yet. You dare to attack me? Don't overestimate yourself. He flipped his palm and formed a black seal. He slammed it down. With a boom, the sword light in the sky was shattered. That black seal was like a millstone. It was pitch black. What weapon was that? However, it was extremely terrifying. As soon as it appeared, it swept through everything. Soaring Sky Saint King was sent flying as he coughed out a mouthful of blood. His face was filled with terror. Was the disparity between them so great? Damn it! Take my flying deity slash. Tens of thousands of blade lights appeared between heaven and earth. Each of them was burning like a peerless immortal light as they charged towards Black Mountain. As for Heishan, he formed seals with his palms. Countless black rays of light appeared around him, as if they had turned into tree branches, waving in all directions. These branches were pitch black, like sharp black arrows that pierced through everything. The saber light that filled the sky shattered once again. As for the Soaring Sky Saint King, he was pierced through and thousands of cracks appeared on his body. His face was filled with terror. Demonic beast, you are also a demonic beast. At this moment, he could feel the terrifying aura of a demonic beast from the black branches. It was even stronger than him. It was as if a primordial beast was in a deep slumber. Spare my life. We are all variant beasts of heaven and earth. Please spare me this once. The soaring sky Saint King was already begging for mercy. I gave you a chance before, but you didn't cherish it. However, I can still give you another chance. It's impossible for you to live. However, I can accept your 1,000 demon city. I will kill all the saints. As for those below the saints, I can keep their lives and nurture them again. The soaring sky Saint King was in despair. If he died, what would he do with the saint city? Therefore, he roared towards the sky. He quickly charged over. The power of his bloodline and laws were burning. It was obvious that he was going to risk his life. However, Black Mountain sneered. The black seal bloomed with light and froze the sky. The soaring sky Saint King was also frozen there, unable to move at all. He let out an unwilling roar, but in an instant, tens of thousands of black branches pierced through his body and turned him into a bloody mist. Another Saint King had fallen. Everyone felt their hair stand on end. These Saint Kings were all supreme existences. Usually they were like gods that they could only look up to. However, at this moment, they were like ants that kept falling. It was as if the end of the world was coming. Countless Saint Kings looked at Black Mountain and nodded slightly. However, in the next moment he was stunned and looked down. His gaze pierced through everything and then he frowned. Junior brother Lin, why are they here? Didn't they go to the Reincarnation Valley? Logically speaking, they should have gone to the buried Emperor Star by now. However, Black Mountain said that there was a situation there. The Reincarnation Protectors did not meet them. It seemed that they did not intend to release the seal. Damn it! The peerless Saint King's expression changed. The Saint Kings beside him also had cold expressions. This guy actually dared to not follow the rules. He actually dared to not follow the rules. The everlasting Saint King snorted coldly. On the other side, the people of the mortal world sneered. All of you have to die. Kill them. These Saint Kings also roared furiously and charged over quickly. The Saint King Yanling roared. He fought against 3 great sage Saint Kings alone. Although he was suppressed, he became more and more courageous as he fought. On the other side, the Saint King Silver Corpse was also terrifying as he controlled countless corpses. There was even a mysterious black-clothed Saint King who waved the black flag in his hand. Countless souls within it roared crazily and released terrifying soul attacks. There was also the Saint King Lei Shun's power. In an instant, the battle broke out once again. Even the peerless Saint King felt the pressure. Every Saint King was in danger of dying at any time. Fortunately, it was not only the second astral realm this time. Many saint cities of the true spirit world also participated in the battle. Therefore, they were able to withstand the attacks. Otherwise, just the corpse poison of the great sage would be enough to sweep through everything. This time, the corpse poison of the great sage was blocked by the saint water of the Jade Lake, resolving the crisis. At this moment, the old Saint King of the great desolate mansion was disheveled. He had once again reached his peak state. He had turned into a young man with a valiant appearance. At this moment, his eyes were not focused. Suddenly, he saw Lin Xian and the others below. They were actually still here. Great! If he could capture these youths, they would be able to threaten these Saint Kings. Thinking of this, he quickly charged down. He turned into a stream of light and instantly tore through the void and arrived below. A terrifying aura swept through everything. The ground below was constantly crumbling. Guan Songhai, Li Hongxiu and the others instantly felt their bodies stiffen. They could no longer move. Even Lin Xian's pupils shrank. Damn it, I was discovered by the Saint King. Chapter 44:10. This was a powerful Saint Venerate. He was much more terrifying than ordinary Saint Kings. If he wasn't so old, he would be even more terrifying. If such a person were to attack them, would they be able to defend themselves? However, at this moment, a roar came from afar. It was as if the sky was falling. Then, an aurora rushed over and enveloped the old Saint King. Boom! The old Saint King roared and split into pieces. He escaped to the outer realm. As for the aurora, it slowly disappeared. Everyone felt as if they were dreaming. Morong Qingqing said that it was the power of the ancient desolate tower. Yao Qi used the ancient desolate tower again. Was it an extreme weapon? Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. Great! They were saved. Qin Xianer said that since the true spirit world had extreme weapons, why didn't they use them? Morong Qingqing had said that the extreme grade weapon was a divine weapon left behind by a great emperor. Its power was too frightening, let alone a saint. Even a saint king would not be able to activate it. In order to activate an extreme grade weapon, the amount of resources and power required was simply too much. Basically, they wouldn't use them unless the emperor's families were in danger. Moreover, there had been a dark battle in the true spirit world, and extreme weapons had been used. Therefore, it was basically impossible to completely use extreme weapons now. Of course, it was still possible to use the pressure of an extreme-grade weapon to attack. Just like before. After everyone heard this, they were enlightened. It seemed that the power of extreme weapons had exceeded their imagination. Perhaps no one in this world could use them. Lin Xian also knew that the 10,000 ancient races had used a lot of extreme weapons to sweep through everything back then. No matter how powerful the desolate ancient families were, it wouldn't be so easy to use them again. In the sky, the old Saint King escaped far away. However, his body was still burning and turning into a bloody mist. He was too old. Being attacked by an extreme weapon was definitely a serious injury. Therefore, at this moment, he had used up the last of his life and turned into dust. He no longer existed. Damn it! Fight! On the side of the Soul Kings, their eyes were red. Too many of their people had fallen. Even those saint killers didn't care about anything. Even if they died, they would still attack. This was especially true for Sacred King Yanling, who was even more aggressive and sent the people around him flying. Seeing this, Peerless Sacred King took a deep breath. Black Mountain, on the other hand, said to use the Great Dragon Sword in the final battle. In a situation where an apex weapon couldn't appear, the Great Dragon Sword was probably the only useful thing. Junior brother. Peerless Saint King looked down. Lin Xian nodded and rose into the air. At the same time, the phantom of the Great Sage Hall appeared beside him and enveloped him like a suit of armor. In the next instant, he took out his Great Dragon Sword Soul, and a terrifying dragon roar resounded through the 9 heavens. Everyone raised their heads again. Even the people from the 3 dragons were shocked. What kind of power was this? He could probably command a group of dragons. As for Lin Xian, he held the Great Dragon Sword Spirit in his hand and said in a clear voice, "Give me all your strength." As they spoke, those Saint Kings also quickly made their moves. As they fought, they unleashed their power. The Great Dragon Sword Spirit gathered quite a bit of energy. Then it started to change rapidly. It was as though a divine dragon had been revived. Its power was terrifying. Even Lin Xian was shocked. He was under so much pressure that cracks appeared on his divine body. He roared at the sky, and the 9 young divine bodies shone with a terrifying light. Lin Xian directly slashed down with his sword. This sword slashed at the Silver Corpse Saint King. The Silver Corpse Saint King tried to block it, but he was cut in half. His cracked body roared non-stop, trying to recover. In the end, he found that it was impossible. Damn it, what's going on? He screamed in fear. He had encountered countless things, but he had never encountered such a strange thing. What did his opponent use? An apex weapon? How could it be so terrifying? The expressions of the surrounding people changed drastically. Damn it! Suddenly, a saint killer charged toward Lin Xian. 2 saint killers were cut in half by Lin Xian's sword, and they turned into blood mist. Then Lin Xian swept his sword again. Another saint killer shattered, and then the power of the Great Dragon Sword Spirit disappeared. At this moment, the others were terrified. This was a good opportunity to kill the other party. As for Lin Xian, he directly hid in the Great Sage Pagoda, allowing these people to attack him. No matter how strong these Saint Kings were, they could not break the defense of the Great Sage Pagoda. Then, Peerless Saint King used the Law of Devour again, absorbing the power of the surrounding Saint Kings, and giving it to the Great Dragon Sword Spirit. The Great Dragon Sword Spirit roared again, sweeping in all directions. Boom boom boom. This time, Lin Xian mainly attacked the Silver Corpse Saint King. It was all because of this despicable guy. The Silver Corpse Saint King was killed in endless fear, and not even a drop of blood was left. No. When Saint King Yan saw this, he roared crazily. He had gone crazy. Did the Silver Corpse Saint King also die? This was the most promising of all his sons. He had already become a Saint King, and he estimated that he would surpass him in the future. This was his hope, but now he had fallen. Damn it, I'll kill you. He quickly rushed over. Lin Xian waved the great dragon sword spirit and fought with the other party. Boom. The two collided. The power of the great dragon sword spirit disappeared, and on the other side, one of Saint King Yan's arms was cut off. He roared crazily in the air. It was obvious that this attack had seriously injured him. Damn it, what was this thing? The other saint in black had a cold expression. It was the legendary saint technique, the great dragon sword. It seemed that he was the successor of the great dragon sword. Damn it, let's go, I won't be able to kill them this time. After saying that, the black flag swept in all directions, wanting to leave. However, Saint King Yin was not willing to give up. I don't believe it. He waved his hand and took out an ancient stone. Primordial stone. The people in the human world exclaimed, "Are you crazy?" However, Saint King Yin had really gone crazy. Kid, go to hell. The primordial stone bloomed with endless light, and then it flew forward. The light appeared, and the primordial stone cracked. At this moment, the sky fell and the earth cracked, destroying everything. Not good. When the other Saint Kings saw this scene, their pupils constricted. That was the primordial stone, and its power was equivalent to a Saint King's weapon. Now that it cracked, it was equivalent to a Saint King's weapon being destroyed. The surrounding people were stunned. A Saint King's weapon was destroyed, and the power was too terrifying. It was enough to destroy several worlds. If a Saint King was hit, it would be difficult for him to escape. Therefore they all quickly retreated. The primordial stone charged towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian's pupils constricted. At this moment the great dragon sword spirit did not have much power left. Chapter 44:11. However, he did not dodge. Instead, he activated the world core. Lin Xian also controlled two worlds. That was the dual rain planet. At this moment, the benefits of having two worlds were displayed. Lin Xian could directly mobilize the power of two worlds across the boundless starry sky. At this moment, the two worlds dimmed. The power of the two worlds surged into his body and was injected into the great dragon sword soul. The great dragon sword soul roared again, as if it had been revived. With the power of two worlds, it slashed forward. Boom! The shocking battle blocked that destructive aura. That's great! Peerless Sage King and the rest heaved a sigh of relief. Then they gathered the power of these Sage Kings and attacked. The great dragon sword soul became stronger again, and slashed down. Boom! Sage King Spiritual King Yin was split in half. Half of his body turned into a bloody mist, while the other half flew into the black flag. It tore open the void and quickly left. Lin Xian swung his sword again. However, those people from the mortal world had mastered an extremely powerful movement technique and disappeared from the world. Lin Xian did not make a move. This was because using the great dragon sword of this level had a huge impact on his physique. At this moment, his divine body was covered in cracks. Blood flowed out from within. The golden blood was abnormally terrifying. It was also because he had a divine body. Otherwise, the other sage sovereigns would probably not be able to use a single sword. Big Brother Xian. Morong Qingqing flew over and took out the Jade Lake holy water. She covered Lin Xian with it and started to provide Lin Xian with great power. This caused the cracks to quickly heal. The surrounding sea of blood was too terrifying. This time, at least a dozen Sage Kings had fallen. There were those from the deity Dao Union, and even more from the mortal world. It could be said that this time, the mortal world had suffered a heavy blow. Sage King Silver Corpse, Sage King Divine Ghost, Sage King Flying Sage King, and the old Sage King of the Great Desolate Mansion had all fallen. Other than that, many of the masked Sage Kings had also fallen. After this battle, even if the mortal world still existed, their strength would be greatly reduced. As for the saint cities where these Saint Kings were, they would also take action. After finding them, they would remove their names from the myriad realms. Xiaochen left this matter to the deity Dao Union. Even if the holy cities were sealed, they would be able to find them. Lin Xian and the others knew that these people were finished. The people of True Spirit World raised their heads to look at the sky. Their faces were filled with fear. At this moment, the sky had already turned red. It released a terrifying aura. That aura wanted to tear their bodies apart. This was such a shocking battle. So many Saint Kings had fallen. This had probably never happened in the past few thousand years. At the same time, the second astral realm was also in a state of shock. This news was brought back by the people of the deity Dao Union and spread in all directions. When they learned that Holy King Silver Corpse, Holy King Skysore, the old Holy King of Great Desolation Mansion, and Holy King Divine Ghost had died, they were stunned. At first, they didn't believe it. It was impossible. Who could make all these Saint Kings fall? However, when they learned that it was a fight between dozens of Saint Kings, and that the Silver Corpse Saint King and the others were from the human world, they were all stunned. The mortal world in the second astral realm was simply a nightmare. Who would have thought that it would actually be by their side? Moreover, it was these Saint Kings. Could it be that these Saint Kings had really fallen? Did none of them escape? Next, when they saw the sealed Acheron Palace and 10,000 Swords Pavilion being found and destroyed, they were shocked. They were completely convinced. Because these holy cities would vanish into thin air and cease to exist. Demon City. Their seals had also been removed, and they had been found. The people of the Demon City were filled with despair. They had also received news that the Holy King had been killed. They felt as if the sky was falling. When they saw what had happened to the other holy cities, they were also terrified. On this day, a black-robed man arrived. He stood there like a celestial being. The people in the Demon City were all terrified. Was the end of the world coming? This figure was Heishan. He said in a clear voice, "Now seeing that you are all demonic beasts, I will give you a chance. Those of the holy cities can report to hell. Those below the holy cities. Those who submit to me can live. If you resist, there is no need to exist." What? All the holy cities had fallen. Damn it. The eyes of those holy venerables and elders instantly turned red. Run. For a time, countless people fled in all directions. However, in the sky, Heishan sneered. He stretched out a hand, and a black tree appeared behind him. It was indomitable and directly enveloped the world. It completely enveloped the entire holy city. In an instant, those saints were all pierced through and turned into a bloody mist that was absorbed by the black tree. Those below the holy cities were so scared that they prostrated themselves on the ground. We are willing to submit. They also felt that this black-robed man had an extremely terrifying aura. Moreover, he was also a Saint King. It seemed that the other party wanted to regain control of them. Alright, from now on, I am the city lord of your demon city. After saying that, a terrifying aura erupted once again, engulfing the world. True Spirit World. The primordial grotto was also affected. After all, Holy King Yanling had also escaped. Therefore, the primordial grotto was destroyed. However, the primordial grotto was extremely terrifying. There were also some core areas that had an extremely terrifying aura of death. Even the people of the refining gods Dao Union did not dare to enter rashly. Of course, no one walked out of the grotto. In fact, everyone thought that it was a place of death, so they did not pay any attention to it. On the other side, Lin Xian and the others were waiting again. They were waiting for the seal to open. Peerless Saint King, Kunlun Saint King, and the others joined forces and brought Lin Xian and the others there once. However, they found that the reincarnation guardian had already gone into seclusion. They could only leave and wait for the next opportunity. Eastern Wilderness. In a canyon, a figure stood there. His eyes were black and white, and it was very strange. It was Yurua. At this moment, he was facing the canyon in front of him with a solemn expression. There was also a terrifying aura in the canyon. It was obvious that Yurua was cultivating here. There were some people around. When they felt the aura emitted from Yurua, their scalps went numb. What a terrifying genius. No one dared to disturb him. At this moment, a few figures flew over from the vicinity. The aura of these people was even more terrifying. It was the buried Emperor Star. Jingyan was also there. At this moment he was gnashing his teeth. After all, he had kowtowed and admitted his mistake. This matter had spread and shocked everyone. He had found someone to avenge him. That person was his younger brother. Although he was young, his talent and strength were stronger than his. Therefore he said, Brother, treat me well. Little brother, how have I treated you? This time, you must avenge me. Beside Jingyan, there was an even younger person. He said, Big brother, don't worry. No matter who it is, if they dare to bully you, I will make them wish they were dead. Hearing this, Jingyan revealed a sinister smile. His younger brother had already become a half-step king. Chapter 44:12. The group of people flew quickly in the sky. Suddenly, Jingyan was stunned and looked down. What's wrong, brother? The young man beside him asked. Jingyan sneered. I found him. Although I didn't find that kid, I found one of his companions. If I catch her, I'll be able to find out where that kid is. Maybe I can even get him to come out. After saying that, the group descended into the canyon below. The people below were all comprehending in the canyon. Suddenly, they raised their heads and felt an extremely terrifying power coming from the sky. It was as if their bodies were going to explode. Retreat quickly. They frantically retreated. Those who retreated too slowly were sent flying, coughing up mouthfuls of blood. This was just the descent of the aura. If these people attacked, how terrifying would it be? Yurua suddenly opened her eyes and looked at the sky with her black and white eyes. The next moment, her pupils shrank and she quickly retreated. You want to leave? It's too late. In the sky, a sneer was heard. Then endless wind and clouds changed, forming a cage that sealed the surroundings. Then a group of people descended. The surrounding people were all frightened and raised their heads to look. Who is this person? Why is he so terrifying? When they saw Jingyan, they exclaimed in surprise. It's him. He's an expert from the buried Emperor Star. No wonder he's so terrifying. You should be Lin Xian's companion. Tell me where he is obediently. I can let you suffer less. Jingyun's cold voice sounded. Yurua's face was cold. She didn't expect to meet these people. She sneered. You're just a loser. What right do you have to be arrogant in front of Martial Uncle Lin? I advise you to get lost quickly. Otherwise, when Martial Uncle Lin comes, you'll have to kneel again. You're courting death. Jingyun was instantly enraged. This was his scar. Since the other party wasn't courting death, he wouldn't be polite. Sky Cloud Hand. In an instant, a terrifying aura rushed out. A white cloud palm pressed down from the sky. At that moment, it was like the palm of a god. Yurua naturally knew how powerful the other party was. Therefore, she didn't dare to be careless. Her black and white eyes released two extremely terrifying lights. They turned into dragons and flew forward. They pierced through the void. The two gigantic dragons danced in the sky. Then, with a sweep of their tails, the heaven and earth collapsed. Wherever it passed, it blocked the clouds that filled the sky. It was useless. Jingyan sneered without fear. The heavenly cloud hand was about to land, and sure enough, the two dragons kept shattering. Yurua also felt immense pressure. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Although the other party had lost and even knelt in front of Lin Xian, this did not mean that the other party was weak. The other party was too terrifying. In the true spirit world and the second astral world, the other party could definitely sweep through everything. However, Lin Xian was too heaven-defying. That was the reason why her opponent had been defeated. However, Yurua was unable to defeat her opponent. As she retreated and spat out blood, Yuruoyan erupted with a cold light. Then, she launched a powerful eye technique attack. Jingyan snorted coldly. His body swayed, and he almost fell from the sky. In the next moment, he roared madly. You dare to injure my soul? He roared madly. No matter how strong he was now at a disadvantage in the hands of the other party. In the next moment, he roared. Sky Cloud Hand, first transformation. A terrifying power instantly erupted. At the same time, the laws in his body condensed to prevent the soul bombardment. Yurua vomited blood. She could not block the Sky Cloud Hand, and was about to be defeated. However, at this moment, endless frost condensed between heaven and earth. The speed of the Sky Cloud Hand slowed down. Then, a figure rescued Yurua. Are you alright? Lu Yuan came. The icy aura on his body erupted. Yurua said, I'm fine, but they're too strong. Let's go first. Lu Yuan nodded. The two wanted to leave. At this moment, a young man behind them spoke. You want to leave? Stay here. He stomped his foot, and the ground cracked open. A force rushed towards the two of them. Not good, quickly dodge. The two of them quickly retreated, their faces full of horror. Then he said, let's join forces. The two of them attacked together to block this attack. In the next moment, the two of them were sent flying. How could the other party be so strong? Who was this person? The two of them were too shocked. One had to know that although they could not defeat Jing Yun, the two of them could still contend with him if they joined forces. However, they could not defeat this young man. This person's strength had already surpassed that of a holy venerate. Leave quickly. More experts have come to the buried Emperor Star. The two of them turned pale. However, the young man walked out and said coldly, with just the two of you, do you think you can escape from my hands? I'll break your limbs and make you kneel in front of my brother, Kowtow, and admit your mistakes. Then, when that Lin Xian comes, I'll make him suffer a fate worse than death. Jinka walked out, bringing with him a cold aura. Yu Ruo and Lu Yuan both despaired. They felt a huge pressure enveloping their bodies. They were unable to move at all. However, at this moment, a bolt of thunder descended from the sky. It was like a divine sword. The terrifying power directly attacked Jing Yun. Jing Yun roared and used the sky cloud hand. However, he was sent flying. He was terrified. That thunder was going to pierce through him. Brother, save me. He roared crazily. Jinka also suddenly turned his head. A terrifying attack erupted from his eyes. In the next moment, a large hand stretched out and directly enveloped that thunder. The two collided. It was as if two worlds had collided. It was earth-shattering. This attack destroyed the thunder and killed Jing Yun. When he turned his head, his expression was completely cold. That was because he discovered that Yu Ruo and Lu Yuan had disappeared. They had been rescued by someone. He had just said that with him around, neither of them would be able to escape. But now the other party had disappeared. This was a slap to his face. He roared, and the power of his body continued to erupt. A terrifying aura swept through the 9 heavens and 10 earths. His gaze seemed to have turned into a divine lamp that swept through the surroundings. In the next moment, he attacked the void in the distance. This attack was too terrifying. The people around the canyon all prostrated themselves on the ground because the void in the sky had turned into chaos. The light of destruction emitted by that light was enough to pierce through a world. Not good. In the distant void, Lu Yuan and Yu Ruo's expressions changed. This attack made them feel as if they were facing a sage king. However, there was also a figure beside them. It was Lin Xian who had saved them. At this moment, Lin Xian also frowned when he sensed this power. He directly used the Taiji diagram, which kept spinning and flying out. The terrifying yin-yang aura turned into a sharp sword and collided with the other party's light of destruction. Then the power in the sky exploded. Lin Xian took the two of them and used the void escape technique to leave in an instant. Not long after they left, Jinka tore through the void and walked over. Behind him, Jing Yun and the other people from the buried Emperor Star also arrived. They looked around and said, there was no one. No one seemed to be injured. Did they escape? How was that possible? These people couldn't believe it. Jinka also frowned. Chapter 44:13. In a mountain range, the void split open and 3 figures walked out. They were Lin Xian, Yu Ruo, and Lu Yuan. After the 3 of them came out, their eyes flickered. Yu Ruo heaved a sigh of relief after being saved. Lu Yuan sighed. He had thought that Jing Yun and the others were powerful enough, but he did not expect that there would be people even more powerful than them. The buried Emperor Star was truly unimaginable. No matter, when we go in we will surpass them one day. Lin Xian's eyes shone with determination. Then he said, we still don't know how the reincarnation valley is doing. Let's wait for senior brother Wushuang's news. But before that, I can send you to the sacred land to cultivate. Really? That's great. The two of them were overjoyed. The sacred land's inheritance was also very ancient. It was not inferior to their sacred city at all. Furthermore, their sacred city's foundation was even deeper. Lin Xian said, Lu Yuan, I'll bring you to the ice sacred land. You can cultivate there. As for Yu Ruo, follow me to the yin-yang sacred land. Then Lin Xian took action. They first went to the ice sacred land. At this moment, Lin Xian and the others' names had already spread throughout the world. These sacred lands were naturally willing to befriend them. In addition, Lin Xian was the temple master. Thus, he quickly stayed in the ice sacred land and cultivated there. As for Lin Xian and Yurua, the two of them went to the Yinyang sacred land. The Yinyang sacred land was located in the prefecture. Back then, Lin Xian and the Yinyang sacred land were sworn enemies. Lin Xian had killed many geniuses and experts of the Yinyang sacred land. Thus, when he returned, the Yinyang sacred land had a very strange expression. They did not know how to face him. However, facing Lin Xian's strength and the difference in status, the Yinyang sacred land's sectmaster did not dare to say anything. Instead, he directly invited the two of them over. Lin Xian did not talk about the past. Instead, he found a place and began to cultivate his Taiji diagram. On the other hand, Yurua was cultivating her black and white eyes. The others were also cultivating and waiting. They were waiting for news from the Reincarnation Valley. However, at that moment, a silhouette appeared in the Reincarnation Valley. He said, "I am Spirit Saint King Yan, and I have come to seek an audience with the Reincarnation Protector." "You're here." A cold voice came from the valley. Then a figure appeared. It was the Reincarnation Protector. At this moment, his expression was indeed somewhat cold. He said, "Things seem to be developing differently from what you said before. The human world has already lost. What should I do next?" Could it be that he would continue to maintain the seal? This was not in line with the rules. Saint King Yanling's eyes turned cold when he heard this. Damn it. Unexpectedly, the deity Dao Yunyan's strength was this strong this time. But don't worry, the human realm hasn't been completely defeated yet. Furthermore, I believe that the Samsara protectors also know about our relationship with the buried Emperor Star. Not to mention the buried Emperor Star, the immemorial grotto is backed by the primordial ancient mine. This time, I brought this with me. As he spoke, he took out a token. This was an extremely ancient token that gave off a great desolate Ian aura. When the Reincarnation Protector saw this token, his pupils constricted. He said, "Could it be that those existences from the primordial ancient mine have already awakened? One of the old ancestors has already awakened. So, I believe that the Reincarnation Protector should know who to support, right? Of course, we will not mistreat you." After saying that, the Reincarnation Protector flipped his hand and took out a storage ring. This ring contained the treasure from the primordial ancient mine. It was an old herb from 50,000 years ago. It should be able to help your cultivation reach a higher level. The Reincarnation Protector's eyes lit up. The Reincarnation Protector was even more clear about the human realm. It did not only exist in the second astral realm and the true spirit world. In fact, they also existed in the buried Emperor Star. It could be said to be extremely horrifying. Furthermore, this time, a horrifying person from the primordial ancient mine had awakened. No matter how strong the unparalleled Sage King and the others were, they would not be able to resist them. Even the deity Dao Yunyan would not be able to do so. Therefore he nodded and said, "I understand. I will close the Reincarnation Valley and open it again after 500 years. Many thanks." Saint King Spirit Yen smiled. He turned around and left. None of these people would be able to go to the buried Emperor Star. Next, they would take revenge in the human realm. 3 days later, the Reincarnation Valley was completely closed. A terrifying aura spread out in all directions. Everyone in the true spirit world could sense it. They all raised their heads and looked into the distance, revealing a look of shock. What happened? Why was this aura so terrifying? It seemed like something was about to appear. Yinyang Sacred Land. Lin Xian also opened his eyes. His body was surrounded by Yinyang aura. At this moment, he also looked into the distance. Beside him, Yurua was also surprised. What had happened? The people of the Yinyang Sacred Land were also shocked. Not only here, but the other sacred lands also discovered it. Immediately their expressions changed. The sacred leader of the Jade Lake Sacred Land frowned. The Kunlun Sacred King was the same. Morong Qingqing asked, "What happened?" The Kunlun Sacred King said that the aura came from the Reincarnation Valley, and he could no longer sense it. That reincarnation protector actually dared to close the reincarnation valley. He was completely trying to cut off the path to the buried Emperor Star. What? Morong Qingcheng was stunned. Could it be that they could no longer go to the buried Emperor Star? The Jade Lake sacred leader also frowned and said coldly. He was too much. He actually dared to do this. It seemed like someone had contacted him. On the other side, in the southern border, in the 100,000 Great Mountains, the peerless sacred king also raised his head. A look of shock appeared in his eyes. The aura of the reincarnation valley had actually disappeared. Was the reincarnation protector planning to stand on the side of the human realm? He had never cared about the matters here, but now he actually dared to make a move. It seemed that the human realm was really unwilling to give up. However, the reincarnation protector had made a foolish decision this time. Hearing this, Fu Hongye and Ling Hu Chueshue were also surprised. It seemed that a great change had occurred in the reincarnation valley. The other saint kings and the saint lords of the sacred grounds also frowned. Even the everlasting sacred king roared into the sky, shattering the stars in the sky. The primordial Sikong had already been shattered. However, there was still a place of death further inside the primordial grotto. The aura there was even more terrifying. At this moment, a figure appeared. It was sacred King Yanling. He continued to walk deeper and entered the primordial ancient mine. The primordial ancient mine was a legendary place. Back then, it was an existence that was on par with the nest of 10,000 dragons. No one dared to enter it, but now he had entered it. Not long after, he came out. After coming out, he was extremely excited because he had obtained a treasure from inside. It was a skull with only one eye. At this moment, that eye was emitting a strange light. It was the heavenly eye. Chapter 44:14. Saint King Yanling formed a seal with his palm. Instantly, the ground of the land of death churned as countless arrays appeared. Then, Saint King Yanling respectfully placed the heavenly eye in the array. Then, countless laws appeared around his body, forming one talisman after another. Then it pierced through his body. Countless talismans connected with each other, as he began to use a secret technique. The heavenly eye seemed to have received some kind of summon, and suddenly opened its eyes. Its gaze swept across the 9 heavens and 10 lands. In the 9 heavens, there was an illusion of the heavens looking down as if it wanted to see through everything. At the end of the phone, the heavenly eye enveloped the entire quintessential world. Countless people felt a sense of fear as their souls seemed to be suppressed. In Yang sacred land, Yu Ruo's pupils constricted as she suddenly closed her eyes. Tears of blood flowed out of her eyes. Lin Xian's scalp also went numb. Countless golden talismans condensed in his eyes, and a pair of golden eyes appeared behind him. It was like the eyes of a god. It floated there, but in the next moment, that terrifying feeling disappeared. He exclaimed, "Who the hell was it? What a powerful eye technique." It was the first time he had felt such a terrifying bronze statue. Not only him, but the other sacred lands also felt it. Far away in southern border, Saint King Wushuang of the 100,000 mountains was the same. He also sucked in a breath of cold air. He didn't expect such a strange thing to happen after the reincarnation valley closed. In the land of death, Saint King Yanling revealed a sneer because his heavenly eye had already reflected Saint King Wushuang's phantom. "You're in southern border? Do you think I can't kill you after running so far? Today is the day you die." In the next moment, countless arrays appeared under his feet. The power of space tore apart and enveloped his figure, causing him to disappear. At the same time, in the 100,000 mountains of southern border, the void shattered, and a figure appeared. Then a terrifying rock hand slapped down from the sky. At the same time, the earth shook, and a rock giant appeared as if it was going to overturn the entire earth. Oh no, what happened? In the 100,000 mountains, Fu Hongye and Ling Hu Chueshue were both stunned. Saint King Wushuang felt a familiar aura. He roared angrily, "Run!" As he spoke, he unleashed an extremely terrifying devouring vortex. It shrouded Fu Hongye and her brother. In the next moment, he let out a furious roar and charged toward the sky. The place where he had been standing was now in ruins. The rock giant had turned that place into nothingness. "You can't escape. Today is the day you die." The ancient voice in the sky carried boundless power as it swept out in all directions. Then he charged towards Peerless Sage King. As for the stone giants that emerged from the ground, they began to sweep through their surroundings and chase after Ling Hu Chuexiue and Fu Hongye. Naturally, the two of them were no match for him. They could only activate the devouring law and flee quickly. However, the stone giant's strength was beyond their imagination. Therefore they were stopped in an instant. A single strike had caused cracks to appear. The two of them also vomited blood, their faces filled with despair. Damn it, am I going to die here? I wonder who did it. Was this the mortal world? Wang. At this moment, a law shrouded the both of them before ripping the void apart. Then, a palm that resembled the hand of heaven slammed down and collided with the stone giant. The stone giant was torn apart by the palm strike. Were they saved? Ling Hu Chuexiue and Fu Hongye cried out in alarm. It was most likely a Sage King. In the next moment, they saw the Heavenly Fragrance Pavilion's Sage King appear there. The two of them hurriedly bowed. Greetings, Senior. Thank you, Senior, for your help. The Heavenly Fragrance Pavilion's Sage King nodded. However, his gaze was looking into the distance, piercing through everything. Senior, please help. My master is in danger. The two of them grew nervous again. Evidently, a top-notch expert was attacking Peerless Sage King. There was no need for that. Someone had already rushed over. Sensing that aura, the Heavenly Fragrance Pavilion's Sage King said, I'll send you two back to the sanctuary first. After saying that, she brought Ling Hu Chuexiue with her and disappeared. On the other side, a figure was flying in the direction of Nanjiang. He was Heishan. He was originally here too. He did not expect that something like this would happen. It seemed that he had gone to help Peerless Sage King. They returned to the sanctuary. At this moment, the sanctuary was also astonished. Lin Xian had also returned with Yu Ruo and the others. When they saw Ling Hu Chuexiue and Fu Hongye injured, they all frowned. What was going on? Ling Hu Chuexiue told them what had happened. Lin Xian was also nervous. Was Peerless Sage King being hunted down? Who was it? An ordinary Sage King would not be suitable. Damn it. It seemed that it was an extremely terrifying expert of the older generation. In an instant he thought of the mortal world. This time, was the mortal world going to be destroyed one by one? Should he summon the Sage Kings? Lin Xian asked. Heavenly Fragrance Pavilion's Sage King said that his friend had already gone? I think it should be fine. Is Heishan here? Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief. If Heishan was here, it should not be a problem. After waiting for a day, two figures returned. They were Heishan and Peerless Sage King. However, Peerless Sage King was not in a good condition. It was obvious that he was severely injured. Who was the one who attacked him? Peerless Sage King said that he would not die. However, it was really dangerous this time. If it was not for Taoist Heishan, I might not have made it back. Heishan also looked at Lin Xian. He said that it was Sage King Yanling, damn it. It was that old thing. Lin Xian's eyes shone with a terrifying light. Back then, he should have killed the other party together with the deity Dao Yunyan. However, Heishan said that although they destroyed the primordial grotto, the other party had the primordial ancient mine behind them. That was an extremely terrifying existence. Naturally, Lin Xian also knew about this. Most likely, there was an extraordinary individual sleeping in there. However, it was not certain whether they could wake up. What should they do? Now the mortal world did not attack together. Instead, they hid in the dark and assassinated from time to time. This made them very uneasy. Lin Xian walked over and used the wood elemental laws to treat Peerless Sage King's injuries. However, his brows were tightly knitted together. No, let's go to the Jade Pool first. The group headed to the Jade Pool to treat their injuries. The people from the Jade Pool also heard about it and frowned. Kunlun Sage King said, Damn it. It seems that we have to go to the Reincarnation Valley again. I'm afraid that the Reincarnation Valley will not open again. Heavenly Fragrance Sage King frowned. There are so many of us. Can't we defeat that Reincarnation Protector? If we can't, we can just attack. That fellow is very strong. Sage King Yanling is terrifying. He might be a late-stage Sage King. Even if we work together, we might not be able to defeat him. Late-stage Sage King? When these Sage Kings heard this, their expressions changed. Most of them were early-stage Sage Kings. The difference between them and a late-stage Sage King was too great. Chapter 44:15. All of a sudden, everyone was shocked again. Lin Xian's heavenly secret divine eyes appeared behind him as he looked into the sky. The other Sage Kings also looked up. Damn it! Did Sage King Yanling attack again? What did he use? How can he sense where we are so clearly? The Jade Lake sacred leader said that it should be the Heaven's Eye. They wondered who he was going to attack this time. In the sky, Sage King Yanling's expression was extremely ugly. He had already severely injured unparalleled Sage King, but he did not expect the black-robed man to come and rescue him. To be honest, he was very afraid of the black-robed man. The black-robed man appeared and disappeared mysteriously, and he used some tricks that made his hair stand on end. He felt like he was facing the reincarnation guardian when he faced the black-robed man. Therefore, he did not continue to chase after him. However, he also knew that unparalleled Sage King could not recover. He had used some terrifying tricks. When he went to the Primordium Ancient Mine, not only did he take out the Primordium token, but he also obtained the Heaven's Eye. At the same time, he also obtained something else. The Poison of Despair. This poison was even more powerful than the Great Sage Corpse Poison, because it was formed from 10 different types of Great Sage Corpse Poison, and it could make anyone despair. Therefore, unparalleled Sage King was definitely going to die. Even if he could not kill him personally, unparalleled Sage King could not survive after being poisoned by the Poison of Despair. Next, he immediately began to look for the others. He immediately thought of Lin Xian. Now that unparalleled Sage King was dead, he wanted to kill Lin Xian. However, when he used the Heaven's Eye to see that Lin Xian and the others were all together, and they were all at the Jade Lake, he frowned. With so many Sage Kings together, it was not convenient for him to attack. Moreover, they were at the Jade Lake, so he had to hurry up and attack. He had to kill them before the others arrived at the Jade Lake. He looked around and saw 2 people. One was Wuxia Sage King, and the other was Shueihua Sage King. Shueihua Sage King was the weakest and could be killed in one move, so Sage King Yanling was prepared to attack him. On the other side, Lin Xian and the others were also very anxious. They discussed and decided to summon the others to the Jade Lake. Otherwise it would be very dangerous. After all, with so many of them gathered together, the other party probably wouldn't dare to make a move. Another thing was that the Jade Lake had an extreme weapon that could suppress everything. After receiving the news, Wuxia Saint King and Bus Saint King were rushing over. However, the distance was still quite far. Furthermore, I'm guessing that Spirit Saint King Yanling has already found the 2 of them. Everyone's eyes lit up when they heard the Jade Lake sacred leader's words. Lin Xian said, "From the looks of it, he should be there to help. How about this? The 3 Saint Kings will go and receive the Wuxia Saint King. Hey Shan, you go and receive the Bus Saint King. I feel that he will most likely attack the Bus Saint King. After all, the Bus Saint King had been injured before, and was not in peak condition. It was easy for others to target her." Black Mountain nodded. At this moment, a roar could be heard from the Jade Pool. It was Peerless Saint King. Morong Qingqing and the others also flew over and said anxiously, "Not good. The Peerless Saint King seemed to have been poisoned again." Was he poisoned again? Everyone was shocked. Lin Xian's expression changed even more. He said, "Everyone hurry up and act. I'll take care of senior brother here." The other Saint Kings nodded. The 3 great Sage Saint Kings joined forces and prepared to receive the Wuxia Saint King. He Shan's figure also disappeared in a flash. Lin Xian, Morong Qingqing and the others walked in. Soon they arrived at the front. The Peerless Saint King was in the Jade Pool holy water. At this moment, his injuries had already stabilized. He only needed time to recover. However, at this moment, a black aura appeared on his body. It spread rapidly and was even more terrifying than the Great Sage Corpse Poison. Lin Xian immediately rushed over. "Senior brother, how are you?" As he spoke, he used the Great Dragon Sword Soul to help the other party get rid of it. However, he soon realized that the situation was much worse than he had imagined. The poison this time was much more terrifying than the Great Sage Corpse Poison. The dark red divine dragon came over to check and also exclaimed, "Damn, this is... Do you know what this is?" Lin Xian asked. The dark red divine dragon said that it had heard of a legend that 10 types of great sage corpse poison were combined to form a poison called the poison of despair. It could make everyone despair because there was no chance of recovery. Perhaps this was the poison of despair. Everyone felt their scalps go numb. They could not even withstand 1 great sage corpse poison, let alone 10. Damn it! Where did this sacred King Yanling get this from? It must be from the Primordium ancient mine. There were countless strange stones in there, many of which were passed down from the ancient times. Damn it! Lin Xian's face was cold. He activated the Great Dragon Sword Soul and released countless dragon-shaped sword chi. He said, "Senior brother, don't worry. Although I can't fully unleash the power of the Great Dragon Sword Soul, I can get rid of it for you." The peerless Saint King opened his eyes. He naturally felt the power of the poison of despair. He turned to the Jade Pool Sacred Leader and said, "Fellow cultivator, can you give me an extreme power?" The Jade Pool Sacred Leader's face changed. "It's too dangerous. You can't take it," the peerless Saint King said. "I can only give it a try. Otherwise, I won't be able to take it." There was another possibility. If all the Sacred Kings worked together and gave their power to the Great Dragon Sword Soul, they might be able to suppress it. However, there were not many Sacred Kings around now. The peerless Saint King might not be able to wait until all the Sacred Kings returned. Hence, he decided to take the risk. The Jade Pool Sacred Leader also left. It seemed like she wanted to work with the other elders to activate the ancient Desolate Tower again. Not long after, the ancient Desolate Tower emitted an extreme power aura. Everyone felt their hair stand on end. They might not be able to take it if it landed. An extreme power appeared and shrouded the peerless Saint King. The peerless Saint King used the law of devour to send this power into his body. In the next moment, he roared into the sky. His black hair fluttered in the wind and the endless void shattered. Cracks appeared on his body and blood flowed out. It was a terrifying sight. It was too terrifying. The extreme power was really terrifying. On the other side, the Jade Pool Sacred Leader and the others had also arrived. They were also watching anxiously. This was because they had used up a lot of energy to activate the ancient Desolate Tower. If he couldn't succeed, there would be no other way. Lin Xian was even more nervous. He hoped that the peerless Saint King could survive. More and more cracks appeared on the peerless Saint King's body. In the end, they completely split open and formed a devouring vortex. Finally, the blood mist in the sky condensed again. The peerless Saint King appeared in front of everyone. His face was pale, but he still said, "I almost died. But at least I was lucky." Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. Chapter 44:16. Peerless Sage King shook his head. "No, I used my extreme doubt to suppress it. However, it is very troublesome to completely eliminate it. It is impossible to do so in a short period of time. Everyone please search for it." A novel. Fortunately, there is no danger to our lives for now. Too hateful. If the Reincarnation Valley had not been closed, we would have left long ago and would not be in such a passive situation. A great elder of the Jade Lake walked over and said, "In fact, the world is much more terrifying than you think. Furthermore, with the primordial ancient mine, it is expected that the Reincarnation Protector would stand on Sage King Yanling's side. However, they did not expect that he would be so ruthless and directly close the valley. What kind of existence is the buried Emperor Star?" Even Morong Qingqing and the others were very puzzled. The Grand Elder's eyes flickered. He said that the buried Emperor Star is similar to the true spirit world. It has countless ancient inheritances and mysterious families. It also has many places of death. However, it is different from the true spirit world. Great emperors are buried there. Great emperors are buried there. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. It seems that the buried Emperor Star's name is not randomly given. There really are great emperors buried there. The Grand Elder shook his head. Almost all of the great emperors are buried there. Many of them had come from the true spirit world. This is the beginning and that is the end. After a while, a Sage King descended from the distance. It turns out that the people who went out to receive them have returned. Limitless Sage King safely returned. Not long after, Black Mountain and Closed Moon Sage King also returned. At the same time, Their disciples also returned. They are all qualified to enter the buried Emperor Star. After they arrived, they all let out a sigh of relief. Great, it seems that Sage King Yanling did not have the chance to make a move. However, Closed Moon Sage King frowned. Although we are safe now, it is not a good idea to stay here for such a long time. We cannot stay here for the rest of our lives. Indeed, the others also nodded. What should we do? We must quickly open the Reincarnation Valley and let our people in. Let's go to the buried Emperor Star. Indeed, this is the most important thing right now. However, at this moment, 7-Star Sage King coldly said, "Is it safe to enter the buried Emperor Star? Don't forget how we poisoned the ancient primordial grotto banquet." When he said this, the others' expressions changed. They clearly remembered the reason why they were poisoned. They were the people who returned from the buried Emperor Star. It was said to be the antidote, but in the end it framed them. What exactly happened for those people to betray them? The Supreme Elder of the Jade Lake Sacred Ground said. It had been said before that the world of men was very terrifying. Even on the buried Emperor Star, they were terrifying existences. Most likely, those who went in had already joined the human world. That's why he attacked us. Then, would the new person be subdued by the human world as well? This was something that no one knew. At this moment, Peerless Saint King also walked out, his face pale. Obviously, his injuries had not healed yet. However, at this moment, his eyes were indeed emitting a biting cold light. He said that rather than this, it would be better for all of them to go to the buried Emperor Star. I want to see who it is that dares to attack us. Are we all going? Those Saint Kings were also stunned. To be honest, they also had the same thought. However, they knew that the buried Emperor Star was even more terrifying. Once they entered, they would no longer be invincible existences. Perhaps there would be someone even more terrifying than them, such as the Great Sage or even the Great Sage. At that time, their status and identity would definitely change. How could these Saint Kings, who had been used to ruling the world for thousands of years, endure this? Peerless Saint King said, "I will not force you. Those who are willing to stay can stay here. As for those who want to go, we will gather together." After a discussion, a portion of them prepared to go together, while the rest stayed behind. Of course, whether these people went or not, they all wanted to kill Saint King Yanling. After all, there was such a terrifying expert of the older generation who could lock onto their position and attack them at any time. They were afraid that they would be in great danger in the future. Let's go. These people soared into the sky and once again headed towards the Reincarnation Valley. They arrived there and stood in the void. The Kunlun Saint Sovereign's cold voice rang out. "Reincarnation Protector, please come out." In the Reincarnation Valley, the Reincarnation Protector opened his eyes and frowned. These people actually came here directly, and there were so many of them. What? Were they trying to scare him with such a scene? How laughable. It seemed that these people were pitifully stupid. Beside him was an old man. It was Saint King Yanling. He said, "It seems that these people can't wait any longer. However, they actually dared to attack you. I think they really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Let's go and see if they have the right to be arrogant in front of me." The Reincarnation Protector walked out. Saint King Yanling followed behind him and sneered. Outside in the Void Palace, everyone waited patiently. This time, they had all made a decision. They must open the Reincarnation Valley. Suddenly, the ground cracked open, and a terrifying rock hand instantly grabbed at Lin Xian. It seemed that it wanted to crush Lin Xian. Lin Xian's pupils shrank, and he used the Great Sage Pagoda to block it. With a clang, he was forced back. However, he roared and used the dragon-shaped sword chi to slash forward. It also blocked the giant stone hand. At the same time, Black Mountain slapped out a black palm and directly tore the rock hand into pieces. At the same time, his gaze pierced through the front. The surrounding Saint Kings also changed their expressions. Did someone attack again? And by the looks of it, it must be Saint King Yanling. This guy was also in the Reincarnation Valley. They all turned their gazes to the front. In the next moment, they saw two figures walk out. It was the Reincarnation Protector and Saint King Yanling Kid. "You're really lucky. You didn't die even after that?" Saint King Yanling's eyes were filled with killing intent. Lin Xian scoffed coldly. Old thing, one day, I will personally deal with you. How dare you? The reincarnation protector roared, and a terrifying aura swept out in all directions. Lin Xian felt as if his soul was about to split open. He roared, and his eyes shone with an incomparable golden light. The great dragon sword soul in his body roared, and the dragon's breathing technique was also activated to block it. Not only that, Saint King Wushuang even used the devouring law. The Kunlun Saint King had to use Kunlun Mountain to block the roar. In the next moment, they looked forward with a hint of fear in their eyes. The reincarnation protector was indeed strong. Chapter 44:17. You're just a sacred venerate. What right do you have to speak here? The reincarnation guardian's cold voice rang out. He then looked at Peerless Sacred King. Even if he's your junior, you can't be so unruly. Are you going to do it, or should I? Peerless Sacred King snorted coldly. He said, my junior did not do anything wrong. It was Spirit Sage King Yen who wanted to kill him. What's wrong with my junior saying a few words? I don't think my junior is in the wrong. Or is it that the reincarnation guardian is already on Spirit Sage King Yan's side? If that's the case, I have nothing to say. We can only fight. You dare to challenge me? The reincarnation guardian took a step forward. A terrifying aura filled the air as if it was going to sweep everything away. His power was too terrifying. The moment he appeared, the surrounding sacred kings felt their scalps go numb. Even Peerless Saint King furrowed his brows. However, he did not retreat. Instead he said, so what if I challenge you? You've already meddled in too many things. As the reincarnation guardian, your purpose is to protect the reincarnation valley. You can't meddle in other things. But now that you've broken the rules, you can't blame us. That's right. Kunlun Sacred King and Wuji Sacred King walked over. The surrounding sacred kings also stood up. They said, open the reincarnation mountain, and let us pass safely. We won't attack you. Otherwise, don't blame us for joining forces. Joining forces? You? The reincarnation guardian laughed out loud. His eyes were filled with disdain. His aura continued to spread, piercing through the air and sweeping everything away. He then said, even if you join forces, you're still no match for me. With that, he struck out with his palm. A terrifying light swept across the land. This power was really too strong. Those Saint Kings felt their bodies tremble. They then roared and retreated quickly. They frantically retreated to avoid the attack. Peerless Sacred King and Lin Xian's eyes narrowed. They realized that the attack was directed at them. Lin Xian snorted. He used the Great Sage Pagoda to envelop the two of them. At the same time, Peerless Sacred King roared. He waved his unparalleled sword and slashed towards the sky. From the looks of it, he was not holding back at all, and was planning to go all out. With a slash of the sword, a terrifying sword light split the world apart. Not even a world could withstand it. The two collided, and Peerless Holy King was sent flying. Fortunately, with the protection of the Great Sage Pagoda, he didn't suffer much damage. However, the surrounding people were all stunned. Even Peerless Saint King's full-powered attack could not block the reincarnation protector's casual attack. The gap between the two sides was really too big. I've already said that you're no match for me. You don't have the qualifications to challenge me. The reincarnation protector stood there with his hands clasped behind his back. His eyes were filled with disdain. Then, he stared at Lin Xian. Brat, I didn't expect you to have so many treasures on you. I've seen this saint item. Hand it over obediently. Lin Xian's expression was also ice-cold. He gritted his teeth and said, You don't have the right to take things from me. Do you think you can fight against me now that you are a holy venerate and can sweep through the world? Even your senior brother can't do it, let alone you. With that, the reincarnation protector's eyes suddenly emitted a terrifying light. He looked at Lin Xian. Lin Xian felt his body tremble. His soul was about to be torn apart. Then, a terrifying aura appeared around him. It was as if it was going to pull him into the land of reincarnation. What a terrifying power. Was this an eye technique? Lin Xian was stunned. He roared and activated his heavenly secret divine eyes. Then, countless golden talismans covered the surroundings. At the same time, the great dragon sword soul roared and slashed at the void. In the next moment he quickly retreated. Cold sweat poured down his body. It was too terrifying. The other party's gaze almost killed him. No wonder all the Saint Kings were afraid of the reincarnation protector. The surrounding Saint Kings were also stunned. Especially Saint King Yanling. His pupils shrank. Was the other party not dead? It was unbelievable. The reincarnation protector controlled a trace of the power of reincarnation. He looked around and saw that no one in the 6 paths of reincarnation could survive. Logically speaking, the other party should have turned into dust. But the other party was still alive. Even the reincarnation protector's face darkened. You're the first one to survive my glare. Right now, I'm very interested in what secrets you have. The reincarnation protector's eyes shone brightly. It seemed that he wanted to attack again. But at this time, Saint King Wuxia attacked. Terrifying sword chi swung. The reincarnation protector stretched out a palm and swept it in all directions. It's useless. Wuxia, you are no match for me. The devouring law is useless against me. The devouring law in the sky wanted to devour him, but his gaze shattered everything. Buzz. The Kunlun Saint King roared. Kunlun Mountain formed and fell from the sky. The terrifying power caused the entire void to collapse. The 9 heavens and 10 lands were cracking. However, the reincarnation protector's palm broke the Kunlun Mountain into pieces. The Kunlun Saint King also retreated. His face became extremely pale. The surrounding people were shocked. They all attacked and realized that they could not hurt the other party at all. Like I said, you ants aren't my match at all. You don't know what I mean to you. Not only do I control the reincarnation valley, but I also control the reincarnation of this world. If I want you to die, you will die. If I want you to live, you will live. The power of reincarnation was too terrifying. Everyone felt despair. Although they were Saint Kings and could defeat everything, at this moment, their faces were filled with despair. However, at this moment, one of them sneered. You control reincarnation? What a joke. Who do you think you are? How dare you say that you control reincarnation? You only borrowed a little power from the reincarnation valley. How dare you be so arrogant here? What a joke. Who was it? Did they want to die? The reincarnation protector was instantly furious. Who dared to challenge him like this? His gaze swept across and quickly locked onto a figure. Then he frowned. He saw a man in a black robe in front of him. His face was covered, so he could not see who it was. Saint King Yanling also frowned. He said, "This is a new Saint King. But I feel that he is very mysterious. He must have a secret. No matter what secret he has, if he dares to challenge me, I will send him to hell." As he said that, the reincarnation protector attacked again. How dare you underestimate my reincarnation power? I will let you experience it for yourself. His eyes shone with a shocking light. Then he flew forward. This power was too terrifying. It carried an extremely strong law that could sweep through everything. No one could resist it. However, Black Mountain sneered. He formed a seal with his palms. The ground around him shattered. Countless spirit veins were under his control, forming a peerless array. Then, it turned into a blade of light and descended from the sky. Boom! Boom! Earth-shattering sounds rang out. The terrifying power tore everything apart. The reincarnation protector was stunned. He could control the Earth spirit veins? It seemed that he was also a powerful array master. But so what? In the face of absolute power, it was useless. Chapter 44:18. Boom. Heishan formed a large black seal that descended from the sky and attacked his opponent. The battle between the two shocked everyone. They realized that Heishan was able to block the reincarnation protector's attack. This guy had just become a sage king. How could he fight against the reincarnation protector? How did he do it? The reincarnation protector frowned. Logically speaking, the opponent's aura was too weak. He should be able to kill such a person instantly. However, he realized that he couldn't do it now, because every attack from the opponent hit the weakness of his power and law. In other words, the opponent was suppressing him. Could it be a coincidence? No one knew his weakness. Your heavenly spirit technique isn't that good. It's too weak. Heishan sneered. The reincarnation protector's pupils constricted. He roared crazily. Damn it, who are you? Who are you? He was really shocked. The heavenly spirit technique was a martial art that he cultivated. No one knew, not even Sage King Yanling. In this world, only he knew. But how did the opponent know? Could it be that the opponent came from the buried Emperor Star? But that shouldn't be. He thought about it and didn't know the opponent. However, Heishan didn't say anything and continued to control the Black Seal. He continued to attack. The reincarnation protector was completely gloomy. He said, "Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish." He formed a seal with his palms and a ray of reincarnation light shot out from his eyes. Boom. The black seal was sent flying. Then, the ray of light pierced through Heishan. Not good. Lin Xian's pupils constricted. The other Sage Kings also cried out in alarm. Could it be that such a powerful person couldn't block it? Then who was his opponent? Heishan's body turned into green smoke and disappeared. He then reappeared on the other side. Reincarnation light? If I was at my peak, I could kill you with a slap. Although Heishan had recovered, he was only a Sage King. He couldn't use some great divine abilities. The reincarnation protector sneered. Who am I? So this is all you have? No matter who you are? You're no match for me. Then let's fight together. Peerless Saint King snorted coldly. The other Saint Kings also stood out. The reincarnation protector laughed out loud. Since you want to die, I'll send you on your way. The great battle shook the heavens and the earth. The surrounding young disciples were in despair. This was because they realized that even with so many Saint Kings attacking together, they were still no match for the reincarnation protector. The other party was really too powerful. Not only did he have the strength of a late-stage Saint King, but he also had the strength of a late-stage Saint King. Furthermore, he possessed the light of reincarnation. Once that light was unleashed, no one could block it. Lin Xian was also shocked, not only because of the strength of the Samsara protector. Was it because of the light of reincarnation? When the first reincarnation light shot out, his Tianji God eyes started to change. An extremely terrifying aura was vibrating. His heavenly secret God eyes seemed to be summoned by something. This surprised him. He thought that something had happened to his heavenly secret divine eyes, and that he was injured. However, he later discovered that this wasn't the case. Only when the light of reincarnation appeared would the heavenly fate divine eyes undergo such a change. Could it be that the heavenly secret divine eyes had something to do with samsara time? He said, "Senior brother, can you help me devour a trace of the light of reincarnation?" "What are you trying to do?" Lin Xian explained the changes that had occurred to him. Unparalleled Saint King was also shocked. "All right, but you have to be careful. The light of reincarnation is too terrifying. If you are injured, you will immediately enter the cycle of reincarnation. At that time, even I won't be able to save you." Lin Xian said, "I know. I will be careful." Then everyone attacked together. The Samsara protector shot out another light of reincarnation. Everyone tried their best to block it. At this time, the law of devour formed a vortex and swallowed some of the light of reincarnation. "It's useless. Your law of devour has no effect on my light of reincarnation." The Samsara protector sneered. However, in the next moment he was stunned. This was because he realized that the light of reincarnation was attacking Lin Xian. Moreover, Lin Xian's eyes suddenly emitted a cold light and absorbed the Samsara protector's light of devour. What was going on? Everyone was stunned. Was Lin Xian courting death? The Samsara protector sneered. It seemed like he didn't have to do anything. This kid was dead meat. Lin Xian felt a huge impact. It was as if he couldn't hear anything. This was because he felt a strange change. His eyes weren't damaged because of it. Instead, they absorbed the energy of the light of reincarnation. At this moment, it was gradually becoming stronger. Buzz. "Junior brother, are you alright?" Unparalleled Saint King was also very nervous. However, in the next moment, Lin Xian's eyes regained their light. He said, "I'm fine." How could this be? The Samsara protector was stunned. The surrounding people were also stunned. They knew very well how frightening the light of reincarnation was. Even with so many of them working together, they still couldn't withstand it. However, Lin Xian was actually fine. What was going on? Damn it. The Samsara protector stared at Lin Xian. He desperately wanted to capture Lin Xian. Unparalleled Saint King said, and attacked together. They charged towards the Samsara protector. At the same time, Spirit Saint King said, "Don't worry, I'll capture this person for you." His body flickered as he charged toward Lin Xian. "Damn it, how dare you!" The surrounding people roared. They couldn't even fight against one of the reincarnation protectors, let alone Spirit Saint King Yan. He was also a veteran Saint King. Boom! An earth-shattering sound rang out. The void shattered and a figure appeared. It was a mortal scholar. As soon as he appeared, he shot out a sky full of ice and swept forward. He blocked Spirit Saint King's path. That was great. Unparalleled Saint King, and the others heaved a sigh of relief. On the other hand, Spirit Saint King's face was cold. Boom! A layer of armor appeared on his body. At the same time, he took out a giant stone hammer. The hammer carried a terrifying power. With one blow, the sky fell and the earth cracked. Even the ice in the sky was broken. One could imagine how terrifying this attack was. Kill! Scholar Immortal roared and quickly rushed out to kill. The battle in front of them erupted again. They charged towards the 9 heavens. Lin Xian and the others quickly retreated and landed on the ground. Their faces became solemn. They didn't know what the result of this attack would be. Although there were only 2 people on the other side this time, it was better than anything. While Lin Xian and the others were nervously watching, a few figures quickly flew over from the distance. It was Jingyun and the other geniuses of the buried Emperor Star. These people should be coming. Jingyun looked down. When he saw Lin Xian, he immediately laughed. "Little brother, I guessed right. He's here. He wants to enter the buried Emperor Star from here." Jinka also looked down and sneered. There was no chance for them to do so. Today was the day he died. He would never be able to enter in his lifetime. As he spoke, he roared and increased his speed. Lin Xian and the others could feel the aura coming from afar, and they all turned their heads. Were the people of the mortal world here? Soon, they discovered that they weren't. Because they weren't Saint Kings. Although their auras were powerful, they were only Saint Sovereigns. One of them was even more terrifying than a Saint Sovereign. Chapter 44:19. It's them. Yu Ruo looked over and instantly frowned. They discovered that those people were from the buried Emperor Star. Jingyan sneered. "Brat, let's see how you're going to escape. Since you dared to treat me like that, I'll pay you back 10,000 times. Today, I'll make you wish you were dead." Lin Xian was originally very anxious. He didn't know how the Sage King battle was going. Now that he saw Jingyun, he immediately frowned and said, "Scram. Otherwise, I'll make sure you die without a burial ground. Don't think that I won't dare to kill you just because you're from the buried Emperor Star. Are you courting death?" Jingyun roared. "Little brother, kill him." Jinka also walked over. "You're Lin Xian, right? You're really arrogant. However, if you kneel down and kowtow to my big brother, I'll give you a quick death. Who do you think you are?" Lin Xian frowned. Then he looked at Jingyun. "You can't beat me, so you're calling me little brother? Do you have any shame? My little brother is stronger than me. He's already a half-step Sage King. You're definitely not his match. Brat, you've already lost your last chance." "Is that so?" Lin Xian sneered. "The 2 of you dared to come here? It seems that you don't know the difference between life and death." Jingyan said. "So what if there are so many people? Do they dare to attack me? I'm from the buried Emperor Star. Whoever dares to attack me is an enemy of the buried Emperor Star. Can you bear it?" Shocking clouds roared in all directions. Sure enough, the surrounding people felt their scalps go numb. Lin Xian sneered. "There's no need for these people to deal with you two trash. I can kill you two by myself." He was also angry. Since they were courting death, he'll fulfill their wish. "Brat, your opponent is me." After saying that, Jinka walked over and stared at Lin Xian. He's really despicable. Are all the people from the buried Emperor Star like this? He's clearly a half-step Sage King, but he dares to attack a Sage Venerable. Even if you win, do you feel proud? Fu Hongya coldly snorted. "My cultivation is higher than his, so I can naturally suppress him. If you're not convinced, come and kill me." Jinka looked like she was asking for a beating, but no one dared to make a move. That was because the other party's cultivation was simply too strong, far surpassing theirs. Lin Xian said, "Hongya, don't worry. Leave this guy to me. However, I am not used to seeing him use his power to bully others. Thus, I want him to have a taste of what it feels like to bully others. All of you, attack Jingyun together. I don't believe that no matter how strong he is, he can withstand it. The eyes of Fu Hongye and the others lit up when they heard that. With regards to Lin Xian's strength, naturally they were not worried at all. Therefore, 8 people from Peerless City walked over and stared at Jingyun. I heard that you're a peerless genius, yet you still dare to sweep through everything. Fight the 8 of us today. Let's see how strong you are. As soon as he said this, Jingyun's expression instantly turned ugly. Jinka roared as well. You dare to touch my brother? Try it. I'll send all of you to hell. Lin Xian smiled. Your enemy is me, so you don't have the right to care about other things. Damn it. Jingyun roared. You're despicable. You're bullying me with numbers. We're bullying you with numbers. If you're unhappy, come and bite us. Guan Shaoxian also snorted coldly. You're allowed to call us a half-step holy king, but you're not allowed to let us gang up on you? Everyone attacked together. With a roar, these strong cultivators instantly rushed over and fought Jingyun. No matter how strong Jingyun was, he could not withstand the attacks of 8 strong cultivators at the same time. Instantly, he let out a roar. His body was cracked and blood flowed out. When Jinka saw this scene, he wanted to go back and help. However, Lin Xian struck out with his sword, cutting off the sky and earth, blocking his way. Weren't you arrogant before and wanted to suppress me? I want to see how strong you are. Go to hell. Jinka roared angrily. The battle instantly broke out. As a half-step holy king, his strength was ridiculously strong, far surpassing that of a holy venerable. Therefore, with one strike, the sky fell and the earth cracked, causing the surrounding people's expressions to change. Lin Xian, on the other hand, let out a furious roar and unleashed his powerful divine body, sweeping out in all directions. At the same time, he activated his 10 ultimate swords, releasing light. He seemed to have turned into a peerless sword god, sweeping through everything. With one strike, he arrived in front of his opponent. The two collided, producing an earth-shattering sound. Jinka was originally disdainful, but when they really fought, he realized that his opponent was very strong. Although his opponent was only a holy venerable, his strength was not weaker than his at all. The sword chi was extremely sharp, causing him to be terrified. Furthermore, his opponent's body and strength had caused his arm to feel numb from the beating. Roar. With a roar, endless precepts appeared around him. He activated his bloodline power and swept out with tyrannical strength. A long saber appeared in his hand, and he kept attacking. Every strike landed on his divine body. Lin Xian's divine body was also trembling non-stop. One could imagine that his opponent was indeed a top-tier expert. However, Lin Xian became more and more courageous as he fought. He held his 10 ultimate swords and swept out. The two collided again. The surrounding people were shocked as they watched. However, at this time, Guan Songhai said, I'm very interested in the battle in the distance. So everyone, I'll go over. After saying that, he joined Jingyun's battle. Qin Xianer also smiled. Then I'll go too. In this way, there were 10 experts. Jingyun was originally unable to hold on. Now he was even more miserable. Not only that, but the people from the 3 great dragon tribes also went over. Jingyun's body exploded several times. He wanted to escape, but he couldn't. There were experts everywhere, blocking his path. This was a kind of despair, something he had never experienced before in his life. He really couldn't imagine that these people would dare to be so bold. Could it be that they weren't afraid of the buried Emperor Star? How could he know that because the Reincarnation Valley was closed, it was unknown whether these people could go to the buried Emperor Star? Therefore, when they mentioned the buried Emperor Star, they naturally carried a shocking killing intent. At this moment, they released all of their killing intent on Jingyun. Jinka saw his brother being beaten up. He was so angry that he vomited blood. You're courting death. His attack was blasted into the distance. However, it was blocked by Lin Xian's Taiji diagram. Boom, boom, boom. 10,000 sword lights all slashed on the opponent's body, sending him flying. His body was also shaking nonstop, and cracks had appeared on the armor that had appeared on his body. This caused him to be terrified. With a furious roar, he turned into a bolt of lightning and attacked unceasingly. The heavenly steel appeared in his palm, and when it opened and closed, it seemed capable of sweeping through everything. Lin Xian's sword qi was beaten until it became dim. However, at this moment, Lin Xian slapped out with his palm the man-ruler seal. This attack was really too powerful. Under this attack, the opponent's battle armor was directly shattered. Jinka vomited a large mouthful of blood. His body was directly penetrated. Then Lin Xian used the mountain embracing seal. A divine mountain appeared between heaven and earth. A terrifying aura swept through the 9 heavens. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.